let's do this. View my channel. It should be live now. We're gonna click on this. We're gonna mute. I'm not a bot. Shut up, YouTube.
Aren't you, though?
It likes to think I am.
I'm pretty sure you are.
Maybe. Turn off that. Save. All right. We are live, Reno. Like it says I'm not logged in, but I'm logged in. All right, whatever. It doesn't like that I have a VPN on, probably.
Clearly, you're not logged in enough. Log in more.
Yeah, they clearly want more of my info that I don't want to give it.
Well, you know, priorities, dog.
All right, copy, share, copy link, one viewer. All right, let's go to the Facebook. This live with Wolfe from at Blightbringers.
It's Mr. Wolfe. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll add that. Mr.
Older than you, I demand some respect. Not a lot of respect, mind you, because I'm still an idiot, but like some amount. Like 2%?
I
2%
capitalize
respect?
the E at the end of your name too, because you're Mr. Wolfe E.
Okay, yeah, checks out. Bless you. Do this hell of a boss style. The E is silent. I don't know if you get that. I was gonna say I don't know if you get that reference.
Next, I don't.
Okay. Well.
Post. Post. All right. And then we can go post this on all the Discords.
All of them.
Where have you posted it so I don't double up?
Just Facebook. Okay. I didn't
run
around with it because I was like, okay, you're gonna do it, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna run around with it real quick.
Get into your way.
Oh, I don't care. I just want to make sure we all don't send it twice.
I don't want to yuck your yum, dog. That's it.
You can yuck me all the time. I mean,
yeah. Hey yo.
I mean, what did I say?
I don't know if that's legal.
Could be. Last one. I need to paint. I need to post in our own little Discord. Morning coffee stream. All right, I'm here. Your screen's black. Probably
Where's
because
my screen?
I fixed it. Don't worry.
I was gonna say Discord is doing a thing.
We're good. I fixed it. I saved the day.
Way to go. I'm glad somebody did.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't me.
Now, time to paint some dusk.
Hey, we're doing it.
Ooh. Let me turn on my tablet so I can actually read chat.
Top chat is no chat. No chat for you.
Oh, that's rude.
All right, what are we working on today?
Today we are working on Hazaroth, Slayers, and Cats. Busy day.
Busy day.
What about you? What are you working on? I know you finished. I saw you finished your duders.
I finished all the dudes, and now I have lashers to do because I need a second unit of them for Adepticon, and I did not do them yet, despite the fact that it's like a week away. So less than a week away at this point. So you know.
I I think after this, all I have to paint is Moraine. And she's like technically tabletop ready, but like
Not actually.
not actually. Like she could pass for Adepticon, like worst case.
Right.
But definitely not to like what I want her to be, because I want her to be like 100% when I go.
Right. I think after this, I've got.
Oh, I got.
Oh god. See, that's the hard part because my lists are still not in flux necessarily, but like.
Not set in stone.
Yeah, I don't 100% know what the correct call is. So I'm in a weird position of like, yeah, I could get away with just like, I think after this, like being like, okay, I don't have time for literally anything else, so this is what it is, and being able to put a competent pair on the table and being alright with it.
Yeah.
But like, I can't, like there's a chance of like, oh, maybe I run Valix and IG and do the Dark Horse factor and just see what happens.
Yeah. People won't be ready for the oops all crits.
Yeah. There's a chance of like, oh, well, I'm gonna, maybe just play the IG and realize, oh, there's a massive hole I didn't think about. So like for ATC, I can't get away with actually doing what I wanted to do. So like, I need to like swap to this and type of thing. So it's like, okay, there are several options.
Yeah. My lists are not built that way. My lists are Dumbo, drop brain, play every game.
Yeah, see, that's the best part of Chimera, I think, is that because all of my lists has so much overlap, but not everything, it's like, okay, this is really nice, because if I need to, like, audible quickly, most of the stuff is already done, but not all of it.
Yeah.
So then it's like, if I wanted to get everything and have everything available, I still need to finish the Drakions and the Cav, and probably a spinner. Maybe two. I feel like one is probably going to be.
I don't think I've seen
a number there.
Two of them.
They're not bad. Double Grim Returns is never bad.
That's fair.
The issue you run into is support bloat is 100% a thing, especially with all the cool new solos.
Okay.
So you very quickly get to like, oh, somebody posted a list yesterday, when they're like, yeah, I think this is really good and it's going to do all these things. I'm like, buddy, I mean this nicely, conservatively. You're looking at 25 to 50 points of your list that you do not want to commit before like turn 4.
Oh, because
it's all support stuff. So like, so a bunch of it can do work, like the new character beast can 100% do work, but you're not sending him in early. Like it's just not a thing.
You don't want to lose access to him.
There was a bunch of other stuff where it was like, yeah, you can send these things in, but like you don't want to. They're not going to compete with somebody else's like frontline actual units, and then you lose out on all of the cool stuff that you think you're going to do. So I don't know, maybe examine that?
Maybe think about it a little bit.
So like it's absolutely a situation of just like, if you are not careful, you will just accidentally spend 30 to 50 points and be like, yeah, but I get to do all these cool things, except
I think that's a trap I sometimes fall into when I
right?
build. Just because I'm like, oh yeah, if I run like 4 Seekers, I can never run out of focus. But it's like, are you ever going to actually run out of focus?
Yeah. And then what are those Seekers doing the rest of the time?
Well, thankfully, Seekers are like, I will defend them. They're pretty good. They're like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, the defense 15 blade shield is pretty surprising for a support unit.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're way more
versatile.
They're way harder to kill than they should be for what they are.
Yeah, and then you can like, depending on who you're running them with, you can run them with like, they're range 2 like battle wizards. So like, battle lust on them like sometimes does work.
Oh yeah, I've lost games because somebody went, I'm just gonna battle lust them, and they charge a heavy, and I was like, don't I like POW 8, aren't they? No, they're POW 12. I'm like, ugh, alright, well, they're only 1 inch, so you won't get all another 2. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. There's something, all right. That's for sure.
But yeah, I think the problem of support bloat is a common one kind of across factions right now. Like, it's definitely not like a uniquely one person or another thing.
Oh yeah, lots of armies have lots of good support options.
Like, look at the other one I always look at is Signar. Like, if you want to, boy howdy, can you take, you know, you can take 2 or 3 weather stations, and you can take, 2 units of veins, and you can take 2
Yeah.
of the Grievous Wound tactician guys, like, and all of these things will do work, but like, you're not putting any of them into scenario. You're not putting any of them on a, 30, 40, 50 and being like, yeah, it'll hang out here. Like, they all have other stuff they need to be doing.
Yep.
Yeah,
At least
thinking
those
about
good
it.
armies have like cheap units. I would say like my speaking from my high horse that is a dusk player, all of my stuff's expensive, so it's hard to pick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, all of your stuff's expensive. Shut up with your bullshit 4-point solos.
Yeah, my stuff's expensive, but it's also like you get what for 4 points? Okay.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, how does every list not start off with 2 Mage Hunter commanders? Because
it does. It does.
they're just ridiculous.
I do not have a list that doesn't have 2. The one thing that's like I've been tinkering with is like only 1 sniper team, but even then it's like late game, they just randomly like kill the solos that like because you have to commit some of your support pieces, but I'm not committing 3 points. Oh no.
Yeah.
I just hold it and then your spinner's up there, cool, dead. And it's just gone.
Uh-huh.
Or like I've had it where like I play into players and they like accidentally put something a little too close, and like I'll be like, sure, I'll try to hit the 17. I'll need a 10.
Yeah.
Because what's it costing me? Nothing. And because I reach back, I go up, hit the brutal damage on a 10, and then whatever that piece is now dead.
Yeah. Well, that's always the nonsense part for them, is just like, oh, they're gonna go up and here's a brutal damage. Oh, you're hiding behind a house? Yeah, I'll just fire a ghost bullet. Like,
yeah. And depending on their armor, it does not matter.
Like, fucking what? Why?
Poleskate, these bases came out so crispy. Thanks, man. This was printed before I knew what I was doing with a printer, too. So, like, if I printed a second batch, which I'm not going to do, they turn out even better.
Sounds like that's a thing you're absolutely going to do.
No, these models are JB welded to the base. They're not coming off.
I don't know. You're saying you're not going to do it, but you're saying it in such a way.
No, I'm not doing it. Whatever my next army, I was thinking about it because like I might get Gravediggers, like buy some, paint some. And I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do their bases because like I feel like I have to custom make all their bases because it's like grungy trench. I should go back to my roots, but I'm like, that's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
We've been spoiled by 3D printing.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
With the new Shadow and Scum stuff, like, I was building it, and I'm like, man, I haven't had to build a kit in, like, over a year.
I know.
I remember why I hate doing this, because, like, this is just all time that I could have spent, like, painting this stuff, and instead I have to sit here and wait for glue to dry. What nonsense is this?
Did you see my paint discussion thing?
Which one?
The picture of all the different techniques and the colors.
Oh, no, I did not see that.
What is a color for Gravediggers that you think would look good that you probably won't paint yourself?
Like actually good or like meme good? Because those are two different goods.
Either. Like you know me, I don't care if it's a meme or not. I'll paint it.
So meme good would be Synthwave, because I think anything Synthwave is just like, yes, this is fantastic. Actually good, I feel like the lore Gravedigger is always just like, oh yeah, you have to go like super grungy and like yada yada yada. I think it would be neat if you basically just ignored that aesthetic entirely. And if you went like the opposite direction and did them like parade ground, like super neat, super clean, just like
fresh
crisp
off of that line.
yeah, like
ready
crisp
to-
lines everywhere. You
So,
know, and
on
did them
there,
like they were on like a parade field or something. So it's like, oh yeah, they were here for inspection, and then Kador attacked.
yeah, on that little field. So I have 90s retro, which is like basically just brand new, like
Right.
heavy metal style, like everything's perfect. And then for the grungy style, someone came up with a good idea. And it was copper, like a copper, like to really like push that steampunk aesthetic with like a
Okay.
greenish glow. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I kind of like that, like a greenish yellow.
Yeah, I could get behind that. The thing that always fucks me up a little bit is I'm, historically and very famously not a Signar fanboy. So
Yeah, I don't know if I'll do synthwave on them just because like my dusk are so bright already.
you gotta stay with the theme.
True, but maybe I also do need a palette cleanser that's not super bright.
Sounds like quitters talk.
That's valid. Pulsegate, what do you think? What is the color? What are you planning on painting if you get Gravediggers? I don't know if you're picking them up or not.
Or Old Umbre when they come out, because everybody is gonna pick that shit up.
I'm gonna skip Old Umbre because I don't care about Cador.
Werebears? You don't want to do werebears?
No, I don't know. Like I'm like, man, that would be really cool. But depending on how deep I go into Gravediggers, I'm not gonna have time to even consider painting Cador Old Umbre.
Yeah, I guess that's valid.
Because
Sounds like quitters talk to me, but
look,
whatever.
I mean, like I do more than just paint models, unfortunately.
Since when?
I go to the gym. Like 3 days of my week, that's gone.
Oh, actually, I had a question for you.
Okay.
Like a gym-related question.
I'm ready to answer.
This is not at all related to painting, but since we're on the topic, would I be able to steal you at Adepticon for some amount of time?
Yes.
Because I have no idea what I'm doing for like basically anything in there, and I am too many people, and I need to be less people, but I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, easy enough.
And one of the biggest things that always stops me is being like, having friends being like, oh, you need to go in there and like lift weights, and like that's your like full body workout.
You want to be a smaller person? Just
yes.
You could become a smaller person and not even have to go to the gym ever.
I mean, sure. I would also like to have a level of muscle back. Yeah.
We can work on something.
That's the thing I lost.
I do coaching, so like I can help you out.
Okay. If you have time and I can steal you for a little bit, I would love to just like.
I was wondering if the hotel or wherever was going to have a gym at all anyway, because like I want to work out.
They usually do. Yeah, my biggest problem is just like I have no clue what I'm doing. I have no idea like form. I have no idea what I'm supposed to look like or how things are like supposed to feel. So I always just pick stuff up and I'm like, oh, actually, no clue what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm about to hurt myself because I don't know if this is right.
Yeah, we'll figure you something out, man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Honestly, Pulsegate, I'm not sure. I've been thinking about it, and right now I'm really like, do you have Grimdark? I feel like everyone's gonna go Grimdark, so I feel like I have to go retro.
Like keep the blue and white, Signar's blue and white, right? Blue, white, and like gold.
Oh, I think trenchers are blue, brown, and yellow.
I feel like if you just want like the very like original Signar, like blue and white, that would probably. Yeah. You could do that like parade ground style, and then if you wanted to also like dirty some of them up, like oh yeah, whoever noble, I don't care, was coming in and like here's the parade ground and here's the guy that we just pulled off the field because making this dude feel important was more important than actually doing things. Yay, bureaucracy.
So I know I'm definitely picking up the battle group in the command box, and I know I'm definitely painting one of the battle group jacks retro style.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it's going to work is the front half of the model will be painted, but like Heavy Metal from GW, the back half of the model will remain prime black.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Gravediggers is going to be at Adepticon, right? It's supposed to be the...
Yeah, so this is literally, I know nothing, and this is just me guessing of what they're gonna have there.
I thought they confirmed that on one of Matt Hart's things, was it Matt Hart? One of them, that the 2 Jackbox was going to be there.
Oh yeah, they did confirm that Gravediggers will be there, so like that's for sure. But
Okay.
I'm saying what else is gonna be there. I think Shadows and Scum.
Oh, for sure. That's
Um,
its release, so yeah.
I could definitely, depending on how the U.S. shipment and how their supply chains work for conventions, I could see some P3 paints being there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Your slew of random other War Machine models that are just there.
Yeah, you're going to have your Big Pigs, your Krugers, your whatever else.
And I don't know if they're gonna do like a shadow launch of anything. Like, I don't think so, because I think they got their
Yeah.
hands full with P3 right now.
I don't know. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised because their original roadmap had something colossal or gargantuan for March. But we haven't, like, seen anything about it.
Hinted at anything at all.
Yeah. So I'm almost wondering if that's going to be like a, maybe the keynote is like, oh, hey, here's... And obviously, again, I don't know anything, so don't fucking take this as anything, but, like, it would make sense if the keynote for me was like, oh, we're going to show off, like, some of the models that are coming. And one of those was, like, either the Crix or the Dusk or the Chimera Colossal, because, like, that would make sense.
And they're like, you could buy it tomorrow.
Yeah, and then they were like, hey, we have a limited number here. The app will be updated tonight that has the rules, and, like, these will be we have a limited number for sale, so go and grab them.
That would be pretty sweet. Good morning, Alec. That would be really cool. And the keynote is Thursday night.
Yeah.
That would
So,
be
like,
pretty sweet.
If they did do that, and I hope they do, I really hope it's the Chimera one.
I mean, of course, I hope it's the Dusk one. Imagine your list changing the night before. Chimera Colossal.
Yeah. Alright, so you guys know how I was going to play, like, Rassic and Valix. Here's the thing. The Colossal just came out. Cheerus is back in the pair, and I don't know how this is going to work, but you're going to have to deal with it.
I think for the IG qualifier, I would probably play... For ATC, I wouldn't play what I know. That's for sure. I wouldn't want to mess with my team.
Yeah.
But for the IG qualifier, I'd be like, you know what? I would drop a Colossal. Why not? And you know what? My lists don't change that much. I just drop Blimp and Pig, and I put a 120 mil Dusk in there. And I play Moraine.
I mean, she's probably one of the better places with it.
It's
honestly.
I think she will have... I mean, like, the Colossal...
She's good with everything.
Yeah. Moraine will have a spot because Mortality is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sirefell will have a spot because Gravewind or Arcane
and
Propulsion.
Yep.
And then Helith has a spot because you could meet Mountain around it, and then you get the -2/-2.
Yeah, that feat though.
Yeah. And then it'd have True Sight too, which is also kind of a useful thing for Dusk to have.
Yeah, especially with Gravediggers coming and Cloud Walls being a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, a bunch of True Sight sprays. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah. I hope you both get what you want. Colossals for everyone. Yeah, I hope we both get what we want too.
Yeah, I expect we fully will see, like, at least concept art for both of them at the keynote.
I should hope so. I imagine if either one of them is even relatively close to, like, being ready, you might even see a painted model in the case. Like, it might just be like, oh yeah, by the way, we have this.
That would be pretty sweet too. Now, right. Or they can continue the meme and show nothing of the Dusk Colossal until the pre-order shows up.
There you go. The only thing I truly hope is that whatever happens, Signar is disappointed.
Unfortunately, they're riding that Gravediggers high. I do not think they're going to be disappointed.
I really want them to be. Signar still needs to pay for the sins of Haley too.
I think it was...
And Haley 3.
I think it was Tyrants talking about it. He was like, I think a lot of people are going to jump on Gravediggers because they're cool, and then they're going to realize their skill floor is, like, twice as high as other armies, then pop off.
Yeah, that's possible. They definitely... From what we've seen, they feel like, I almost want to say, like, Crucible Guard-esque, in that, like...
Almost dropped it.
no one thing is gonna be that good. Like it's gonna require like
Stacking of everything.
yeah, you're gonna have to stack buffs. You're gonna have to stack debuffs. You're gonna have to stack, your flare and other stuff. And the way you're gonna end up beating them is basically by just going, okay, what are the things that allow all of your other stuff to function? They need to die first.
Yeah, or like prevent the stacking of how you place your models, kind of thing.
Yeah. Because like I think if you can do that, then like you'll be in a pretty good spot against them.
That makes sense. Man, I love the Slayer models. I love them so much more than the Archer models.
Oh yeah, they're so dope.
The Archer models, I painted them first because I was like, I like them less. And there's one of the Archer models is cool. And then, but like all of the Slayer models are cool to me.
I'm glad the Slayers got a rule update so that they're not
not useless.
Garbage. Yeah,
they're actually played, at least as a one of in the list that use them.
I can see two. I've seen two in Hazaroth. I've seen two in Helith.
Oh yeah, Helith and Hazaroth, you can make the excuse for two. But I'm saying like you're definitely running at least one.
For sure.
My test Helith list actually ran 2 Slayers and 1 Cat.
How'd that go?
Well, I don't know yet because I was like only theoretically pointing out. I put in 2 heavies that were supposed to point out the Colossal as what we were able to see it. So like I couldn't play it. I was just kind of judging and seeing what points would look like.
I see.
Because I also have to try to make room for like probably a Spectre or like an Arc Node.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest problem with Colossals in general. Is that you're going to... You need at least one more.
Yeah.
Like, I think with the scenario packet, you're probably actually need, like, most lists, quote-unquote, need 3.
Yeah.
So, like, if all you can get is the Colossal plus 1, it's like...
Dude, 18 subs away from 500. Am I? I haven't checked in a little bit. That's actually kind of wild.
Look at that. You're getting so popular.
I know. I have to go buy more dice. It's a good thing I'm going to Adepticon next week.
Is that how that works?
So the way I've been doing it is every 100 subs, I'll roll that amount of dice.
God.
So at 400, I rolled 422 dice because I was at 422 subs when I rolled them.
That's a choice.
That is a choice I have, and it's a choice I'm making because it's fun. I like dice.
You're just going full orc on it?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was a former orc player. Of course I have a lot of dice already.
Yeah, checks out.
Like, I think...
This fits in with what I know about you as a person.
Yeah, like, the majority of, like, the dice... Like, the first 200 dice I had were from, like, my GW days of an orc player.
I'll never forget my first GT I went to, and my friends were like telling me it was a joke, like, oh yeah, you're gonna hear people screaming, blood for the blood god. And it's like, yeah, okay. And the first dude I played against, like round 1, he was an older guy, but like he was super cool, and was just like playing orcs, and he's like, oh, we're just gonna have a fun game, and I'm like, yeah, dude, like, I'm a scrub, I'm just here to have fun, like, whatever. I showed up with like a very fluffy Space Wolves list that was just not at all good.
You show up to have fun.
And like turn 3, he's just like, oh, and we're gonna release the Wog, and I'm like, oh Jesus.
Let's go. That's awesome. Or have you seen the story about the Corn who was shadowboxing the Corn player? Who
yes.
Was like, I didn't know what to do with my opponent. He was just shadowboxing the whole time. He's like, go ahead. I don't have a plan. I'm just here to fight.
Yeah. Like, I don't have anything to do during your turn. I don't have that. You just do whatever you want and tell me, and whatever. I'll figure it out.
Tell me, I don't care. I'm just gonna charge you.
And then, like, the dude was did he try to get him, like, DQ'd or called a judge over? Like, what is this? This is not good sportsmanship or something? And the judge is just like, he's not doing anything. Play your turn. Like,
yeah, stop wasting both of our times.
Which is both funny and, like, I don't know what I would do there. Like, if I'm just, like, playing somebody and they're like, yeah, I have nothing during your turn, so I'm not even going to pay attention. Like, just going to be over here doing push-ups and shadowboxing, I'd be like, okay. feel like you should be paying attention a little bit, but like,
As a corn player, your only plan is to charge.
oh, for sure. And I think that wasn't it like the new corn stuff where it was like Angron and
Yeah.
yeah.
But back to the dice talk. Baron of Dice will be there, and they supposedly will have some War Machine dice there.
Oh snap!
And that'll be good because that'll help me get. I have to buy, I guess now, like 70 dice, which is like
At least.
two of their sets. And the new Emperor Children's dice is cool, so I'll get those, and I'll get the Dusk dice if they have them.
There you go. You know what's really funny? Captain Con, not this past year, the year before, I was walking around and the guy from Baron of Dice was like, "Oh, hey, you know, how you doing?" He just like started a conversation. And I was like, "Oh, you know, good, whatever." And he's like, "What are you here for?" I'm like, "Oh, you doing War Machine?" And he's just like, "Oh, you know, I've seen that a couple times. What's that like?" So we spent, you know, a couple minutes talking about it. And he's just like, "Yeah, that's super cool." He's like, "You know, do you think they would?" He's like, "Do you know any?" I'm like, "No, not really." I'm like, "I just play. Like, I don't really know anybody." He's like, "Oh," he's like, "Do they have like a bunch of like deals with other companies to do stuff?" I'm like, "I don't think so. Not really. Anyway." I'm like, "I know they've got like a couple of things out for like tokens and stuff, where it's like officially licensed stuff."
Nice.
And they
Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh, that's cool." He's like, "You know, I should see if there's somebody I could talk to. You know, try and get dice." He's like, "I see, you know, it seems like there's always a good crowd for it." I'm like, it's been getting better, so yeah, probably.
The weird thing is like the War Machine sets are gonna be like 6 dice or like 12 dice.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to be small.
Yeah, so I will need to buy more of them.
But yeah, the point being, it was like this was Captain Con like
2 years ago.
yeah, 2024. So it was like, oh,
2023? 2024. Oh no,
that would have been
Monta's last one,
2024.
the one before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Math.
Yeah, would have been 2024, and I was like, oh, okay. And now here it is, like a year later, and they're just like, oh yeah, they might exist, and it's like, oh, wild. I knew about this. I knew about this like a year ago, and didn't even know it was an actual thing. Neat.
They definitely exist. I know they were working on initial designs, like, because I had asked them. I was like, "Hey, are you doing War Machine stuff?" They're like, "Yeah, we're finalizing the design." I think it helped. It's expedited the process when Steamforge bought them.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because they already had a deal with Steamforge with like Guild Ball.
Okay.
So like for them, it was just like, oh, we're just gonna make another game for you of dice.
Yeah. Oh, I saw like the best meme the other day too. Going back to 40k stuff, which is not what we're here for, but I have to talk about this now because it was funny. Where it was like, apparently in like I don't know if it was like an article GW wrote or like in the actual codex, there's like a metric now of like how many guardsmen can this thing kill in a turn, and it was like Angron on average kills 30 guardsmen a turn, and it was like World Eaters players knowing that Angron can rip through 30 guardsmen a turn on average. Guard players knowing they just have to feed 180 guardsmen to Angron to keep him busy for 6 turns. I'm like, you know, that is
something.
That is actually how that works. It's like, okay, wait, so you're only gonna kill 30? Okay, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, like, I'm playing the conscript module. I'm playing 200 guardsmen. I hope you enjoy.
Yeah. We will zap Brannigan this. I will send a wave after wave of men at you, and eventually your kill count will hit its max, and then I will win.
Yeah, I'm just gonna win on clock of you rolling so many dice in 40k.
God, I remember a number of events going to like round timer, and it was only being like turn 3 because of like fucking guard and orc players just being like, okay, and here's my bucket of dice for this, and then you spend 5 minutes like counting them all, just going,
yeah, because you have to roll in, if you want to be technically efficient, you got to roll in sets of like 10 or 20, and you have to do that 20 times.
Yup.
And then if your opponent's cool, they'll help you keep track and be like, oh, you had 4 from this one, 6 from this one.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's not their job technically, and if 40k people are 40k people, they're not always going to help you.
I mean, that's any game, to be fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like I mean this nicely. There are War Machine people who will not help you either.
I've only met one.
Still exists.
They still exist. But I will say that War Machine community, they are more rare.
I mean, yes. I think we do a better job at self-policing.
Yeah. So now you have to be carried. Having both played War Machine and Warhammer. Which do you like better and why? Aside from the 1,000 dice you just discussed. It depends on what you want out of the game, and that's what it is for me. For me, and I can go first, as I start talking already. War Machine is a better, like, thought out game. Choices matter more, and all of your choices like lead to a better game. So like it's more technical, and it could be like actually it's like there's less randomness in it, and there's still random. It's a dice game, but there's less of it, and there's ways for you to combat that. In 40K, it's like if you just want to have a good time, 40K is cool because you just roll a billion dice with your friends, spend 4 hours on a Saturday night drinking beer and playing dice. And with Warhammer, if you just don't want to spend the 2 kidneys and a liver to pay for an army, there's so many third-party options to just play the army. Go for it. But War Machine's like technical. It's the rule tight's very set, or the rule set is very tight. And like,
there you go.
Yeah, I know words are hard, aren't they? And that's my big reason. I also just like the models more. I think there's obviously Warhammer models that are fantastic that I will buy or will own.
But, yeah, I was gonna say there is some really crisp fucking 40K models.
You can't deny. Like I own Angron because he's Angron.
Mm-hmm.
And like the lore for Warhammer is awesome, but like community and the game itself, War Machine's kind of just the win for me.
Right on. So for me, the thing that drew me into 40K at the time was like I had a bunch of friends playing it, and it was the fluff just being what it is. Like GW fluff is fantastic. That like really kind of drew me in, but like the price point got real out of hand real quick. On top of just like I didn't mind that it was like, oh yeah, every couple of years like there's a new rule book. It started to bother me because I had started in 2nd edition. It really started to bug me when it was like, oh, here's 3rd edition. Like, okay, that's fine. And here's 4th, but it's really just 3.5. It's like, okay, so why is this a new edition then? Like, this could have just been like an FAQ, and I could have not spent, another $80, $90, $100 on a book. Like, what the shit? And once I started kind of going down that train and realizing that, like, I don't have, that much expendable income to just be like, oh, what is the new buff unit of the month? Because it's like, as much as people like to complain about like power creep in War Machine sometimes, like the power creep in GW games is actually like real. When you can go from like this unit is entirely useless and you will never see it to, oh, if you want to be at all competitive, like you need to own 3, 4, 5 of these units.
And like to add to that is like that leads to their business model of like current business model. It used to not be this way in the past, but like FOMO, low production runs, things are quote unquote out of stock. Like it's really hard as a player to be like to not to feel the need to buy everything. Because then you're like, what if this is good in 2 years? And then you get into the trap of buying models, but
playing them. Yep. So like that was a major thing. And really it was just the thing that drew me over more than anything was just that like the VW run of like competitive stuff was always just ridiculous. Like I remember, I think it was 5th edition. There was a stratagem or a detachment or something that was like, if this thing died in a particular way, you got a victory point, and you could force somebody, quote unquote, force them to kill it in that way. But if you spent a bunch of points on it, you could make it so that like it's not like, oh, I forced you to do this. Either you're doing it or you're losing the game because it was basically just like a Death Star unit where it's like, yeah, if you don't kill this,
They will kill you.
it's going to run through your entire army by itself with like, oh yeah, it's coming in with like a 2-up armor save and a 3-up invul and feel no pain and all this other shit where it's like, you're dumping your entire army into this every single turn to maybe kill one part of it, and over the course of the game, like, you maybe kill like half, unless you get very lucky. And I remember playing the one game, and I was just playing with a friend, and we were doing, having a fun game, and the guy who was running the store we used to play at was watching because he also went to events with us and hung out. And I remember at one point it got to like the end of the game, and the guy I was playing against was like, "Okay, I won like 16-14 on scenario and this, that, and the other thing." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, good game." And he walks over and goes, "Actually, you don't." It's like, what? We're both like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, well, because of this detachment, you did this, this, and this. Actually, he scores 3 points here." And he's like, "That's not how that works. It works like this." And they're arguing over like the semantics of how the rule works, which, like, don't get me wrong, everybody does. But like, it got so heated for a game at a shop that did not matter because both of them were convinced they were right, and there was no FAQ. They couldn't even agree on like the meaning of a word in the rules because it was not defined anywhere, and they were both citing like, "Oh, well, in this ruling it meant this, yeah, but in this one it meant this," and it's like, that was the moment where I just looked at it and was like, what is
this game?
Like, what is even like, how does anybody play this at like a competitive level if this is the arguments you have to have? Like, you have to argue over the meaning of a word with people. Like, this feels ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then it was like a week later, a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, this other store started like carrying all the stuff for a game called War Machine," and I was like, "Okay, what's that like?" And he's like, "Dude, it's dope. Come try it."
And it's been history since.
Yeah, basically, it was just like, oh, actually, like a game that has like a glossary of terms. What?
Crazy.
Like, that's insane. Oh, what do you mean, like an active rules form? What do you mean I don't have to spend, $80 on a rule book every 3 years? What do you mean that like I don't have to spend $30-$40 on just the rules for my army, and then like, 2-3 years later they're gonna get updated and I'm gonna have to spend it again? Or like, oh, a random FAQ was dropped that like, unless you're following everything on every social, you don't know about it.
Yeah, and then you show up to a tournament and they're like, "Actually, your army sucks now. You're so dumb."
Yeah. Literally, I showed up to events with a book that had released a week earlier and had somebody be like, "Oh, actually, this is wrong. They released an FAQ for it because
this came out last week."
It's like, this is a week old. What do you mean? They're like, "Oh yeah, actually, they had to change the word. None of the stuff got caught in editing, so they changed it." It's like,
actually, you're so wrong.
It's like, wait a minute. It's a week old. What do you? No, it's wrong. And like, I argued with TOs because they're like, "No, actually, that's right." I'm like, this thing is a week old. Are you telling me that like none of this works the way it says in here, and there's just a random printout? He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll print it out for you," and I'm like, this is awful. Like, why am I doing this?
To catch up on chat a little bit. Hello, Tyrants. Welcome. I hope you're enjoying your day of conference calling and listening. Alec, War Machine is better. Grocery list time. I'm here for it. But yeah, Pulse, that is why we like War Machine more. Those are our reasons. I was gonna say on this cat and these calves, I was like, "Oh, there's not that much dark blue," and then I realized on this one I have to paint the entire rock dark blue.
I hate that part of 40K. I hate arguing over rules in competitive play. I feel like, yeah, seriously.
And like when Mark IV launched, there was like some like, "Oh, what's this mean?" But like that's just the additions of it. That's growing pains of a new edition.
I mean, I was gonna say, don't get me wrong. Like, even in War Machine, like that, I watched people argue over rules. I've done it. Like, it happens here. The difference is that, like, the arguments here are never like, oh, like, this is a game-swinging thing. It's, oh, this is, like, a semantic ability that, like, you've triggered once, and this is how this actually works, but, like, it doesn't... Your entire game plan is not ruined because this works this way.
Or
it's just like...
if it is, there were possibly decisions earlier that would just have not led it to where that decision was so pivotal.
Yeah. Like, one of the easy ones I remember is Mark II Slipstream, where it was like, if this model moves by another like within 2 inches of another model, you can place that model within 2 inches, something like that. It was like how it was read. And the first time we read it, it was like, oh, this is really good, because it means a Seraph can Slipstream walk by a thing, and then you get to place it 2 inches in front of where you placed the Seraph, because that's within 2 inches. So it was like, man, this is like a 9-inch plus move for a heavy. This is great.
Yeah.
And then 3 people pointed out, like, first of all, that would be broken as shit. Second of all, no. Like, read this in English and not like you're trying to cheese it, because, like, the there, and there here is like, yeah, okay, that is what that says, isn't it? It's like, yeah, stop being stupid. Like, my bad.
A lot of the rules, if you just read it rule by rule, it does like, oh, okay, I'm being a goober.
Yeah. The other thing I really like about War Machine, and I feel like this is worth saying, is just that the movement actually feels much more impactful. Like 40k, it's just, oh, I run forward. Okay.
Oh, I might hit that shot. I also love pre-measuring.
Yes. But like in War Machine, it's like one of the strongest spells in the game for over an edition was place this 2 inches. And that's it.
Yep.
And it was just like, I remember reading it the first time and being like, somebody being like, yeah, TK is so strong, it's this, and I'm just like, it's a 2-inch place, what does 2 inches matter?
Hey,
and it was like, dude,
2 inches
and it was like,
a lot, I'll have you know.
I mean, fair. But it was like, dude, you don't even know, and I'm like, no, I don't, and then I started playing into it and was like, what do you mean you can move my stuff forward? What do you mean you can move your... Oh, this is nonsense! And that's when I was like, yeah, it's really strong. And I'm like, oh, I see now.
It all makes sense now. Yeah, the simplest rule and like just board control can change the game. But to Pulsegate's most recent thing, the lore, I'm like, I have never gotten it. The lore exists. It's a thing. I've been told it's good. Wolfe is the lore guy. But I never, it was never easy to find all in one spot. I never got into it because it just never felt like it was easily available. It's also really hard to compare, like, someone, I think it was you, Wolfe, comparison is the thief of joy, or somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Probably was you. But, like,
it sounds like something I would
40K
say.
lore has been going on a lot longer than War Machine has.
Yeah, it has.
And they have a much bigger budget and a much larger rider team.
Well, they also just have a much more established lore. Like War Machine, it's like, okay, what were you getting, right? It was the command books, you'd get some stuff. There was books for a while, but like, it was always... I don't want to say they were badly written because they weren't, but like, there was never felt like there was a single overarching story.
There was never, and you never... bad.
Yeah, you never really felt like, oh, okay, like, this is an actual threat. Because, like, oh, Warcasters are so rare, and, like, you know, these are moments where, like, this was, like, even in the heyday of Mark II, on Mark III, when it was like, oh, we have all these casters. How many of them were like, oh, it was, version 2 of this caster, version 3? Like, in fluff, those things don't all exist at once. There's that caster. So, like... There was only ever, like, in Signar, which was supposed to be like, oh, this was one of the biggest things in Western Immoran, like, they only actually had, like, 10 or 11 active Warcasters at any given time. Like, that's all you saw. So, to be, like, you know, comparing that to, like, 40k, where it's like, oh yeah, here's Space Marines, where, like, there's 1,000 of these superhuman soldiers in a, you know, company or whatever, and, like, you can write fluff about an average dude and he's still able to do crazy shit versus like what is an average if you're like trying to stay lore accurate, like what is an average trencher doing? Like it like comparatively
Yeah,
it's
the
not that much.
scale and like the setting of 40K also just breeds better writing because it's like so far in the future, anything's possible.
Yeah.
And
And
it's like
there's
so
so
out there.
there's so much like science adjacent stuff where it's like, oh, here's psychic powers and also these are magic robots and also here's demons. Like, you know, it's just
Yep.
there's more there. And again, this is not to say that like War Machine fluff is bad. I don't think it is. It's just more tied to reality. And when you do that, you really have to be like, okay, like if Crix is the existential threat, then Crix needs to be the existential threat. They need to be showing up with weird magic shit. They need to be showing up everywhere. And like your main characters can't just be like, oh, here's these 10 dudes.
Yeah.
So like I think from a fluff standpoint, like I can look at 40K and be like the Horus Heresy. There's, you know, I think like 80 or 90 New York Times best-selling books in this series that travel or traverse an entire thing that started off as a back note in the fluff in like first or second edition of like, oh yeah, this was a thing that happened a long time ago. And just dive so deep into it, and it's so rich and just so like well thought out and well done. But like War Machine doesn't have an equivalent.
Yep.
But like I think
Now, there was a part of the lore that I don't know, and I only heard little bits of it. It's like the convergence portal where like it linked War Caster and War Machine.
that was the Henschel scroll stuff.
To me, that's dope. That's like the big cool thing that was like, oh. And that's the cool. I was like, oh, that's they're linking their game system. Because as a kid, when I started at 5th, and I'm young, sorry. I was like, oh, dude, the Tomb Kings are just Necrons, the High Elves are just Eld. Like, I did that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone did when they first started.
Yep.
But like linking your two game systems and like even having concurrent characters like would be, I don't know if they did, if they ever did.
Kind of, sorta. The way it worked was basically Henschel scrolls happened. Then it was like a jump into the future in Warcaster. So like all of the people that came over, like at least to my understanding, like you never actually saw any of them again. So like Sorsha jumped over with Vlad's child, presumably, and like then you never saw her again. She was just gone because they did such a large time jump into like the Warcaster universe, which like is fine. But like the tie together, I think was cool. It was just more of like a they used it almost as like a jumping off point to be like, yeah, but like that's where all of this stuff came from, which like it's fine. It's just
They
not.
didn't like actually tie it together. They're just like these two things exist in the same universe.
Yeah, basically.
I think if they did some tie-ins, it'd be really cool. And that's also how you could get a lot of players to play both.
For sure. I think you could probably do it and do it in a way that is both interesting and fun.
Because like that's how like a lot of people like play 30K and 40K because like characters exist in both.
Yep. I mean, not that many, but yes.
Yeah.
10,000 year time jump tends to
Depends
kill
if
off
you play Chaos or not.
That's fair.
If Chaos, all your guys are still there.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
I think Joe has it right where it's like War Machine is a rule-centric game with a supported framework for rules evaluation. 40K is a cinematic game that is about creating the moments, and the rules are just there as like a side note.
Yeah, which is like where Warhammer becomes really fun when you have like a beer or two and it's a Saturday night with your friends.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just like, and as the orc player, you're 3 beers deep and you just scream WOG at the top of your lungs. Your neighbors wake up and they have a fight with you, and you're like, I don't care, I'm an orc player. And then you WOG at them. Like, that's just a good time.
Or there was the, oh, hey, we're going to play an apocalypse game where it's like, oh, what does that mean? Oh, it means we're both. It means we're starting at 8 o'clock at night. My old store owner used to do this. He'd let us do lock-ins, where it's like, okay, we're gonna start at 8 o'clock at night. We're gonna spend the entire night in the store drinking and just here's a 10,000 point game. Or the one time we did it, it was we're gonna play this giant apocalypse game. Every single person brought 5,000 points, and there was I think 14 of us. So like, you had table after table after table, just full of dudes.
Yep.
And people were like, "Oh yeah, but I'm using this character and this character, and I'm putting all of these characters on the table." And it was like, "Oh, cool." It's like, yeah, this is 2,000 points. I still have tank after company of idiot, and it was like, that's super cool. Oh, what are you bringing? Oh, I just brought this Titan. And then it's like, you did what? It's like, yeah, no, I brought this thing that I never get to use. It's a 40-foot tall pile of metal that shoots the literal sun at you. That's what I'm using.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay. Like, those were fun. I remember playing the one game where I don't know how much of like Imperial Guard stuff you remember, but somebody just went, cool, I have a bunch of basilisks that I bought at like garage sales and stuff. So he showed up with, I think it was like 40 basilisks.
Oh my
and just
Lord.
went, cool. I'm gonna put these in the. He literally looked at the guy next to him and said, "Your job is to be a meat shield and keep everybody away from me." And the guy's like, "Why?" He's like, "Because I will win this myself." And they were like, "Yeah, all right." And this dude with his 40 basilisks, who had, I think it was like a max range of
200 fucking something.
Yeah, it was either 240 or 300 inches and a minimum range of 60. Sat in this back corner and just went, "Okay, here's what's gonna happen. The other end of the table over here, I am going to, in your deployment zone, just drop 40 pie plates and blow up every single thing that's there." Because you couldn't avoid it at that point. Like, that many points, everything's on top of each other.
Yeah.
So, like, he just dropped gun after gun and blew up, like, 2/3 of somebody on the other side of the table, which sucked for that dude, because he spent a bunch of time, like, setting up just to get blown up from the other side of the table. But, I mean, welcome to Apocalypse.
Yeah, welcome to 40K, buddy. You're part of the meat grinder.
And then everyone was like, "Dude, what the fuck?" And he looked over at the other side of the table and said, "Clean that up and start pushing this way." And this one dude himself was just like, "I am just going to shell a different person every turn, and I'm going to drop so much ordnance on them that they cannot survive, and all your guys' job is to keep pushing them this way into this dude whose entire job is to be a meat grinder in front of me, and let him fucking just... He is the rock on which everything will break. And you guys just keep chasing him down from the back end and killing him." And that was the entire game. It was that for 9 hours. And it was the most fun I have ever had playing that game. Because you got to watch, 8, 9, 10 people be like, "Oh, this is what the fuck just happened?" And immediately they all just went... Yeah, they all just went, well, yes, but they all immediately just went, like, tactical, like, "Oh, we have to stop this." And, like, went from like, "Oh, this is a fun game," to like trying to be like these Napoleonic generals of like, "Okay, we need to sacrifice units here, and we're gonna have to do this. We're gonna have to do it." And they're like walking away from the table to discuss strategy because they didn't want us to overhear them. And it was just like, what is fucking happening right now?
Those are the moments I live for. Those moments are so fun because it's just randomly. It's like a bunch of dudes are like, "It's time to be men."
Yeah, like we have all decided that we are the ones who are winning this, and let's fucking go.
Yeah. The testosterone's in the air.
For real, though.
I miss dropping Deathwing on people. What a guy.
Girl.
You were the meat shield. You had the 200 Terminators in front of the Imperial Guard Basilisks.
Yeah, like your entire job is just to stand there. That's it. Good luck. I never actually read the Malcontents novel. I got super into... The ones that I really loved were, it was like the Night Lord's Omnibus. So that was friggin' dope. And I never played Chaos.
Become emo.
I
got a lot of people to become emo.
Yeah. Like, I never really played Chaos, but if I did, it would have been a Night Lord's Legion. And, like, it was just so dope.
Yeah. did an apocalypse game in my first company, ran and took out a Reaper Titan. Let's go.
My first Apoc game, I was playing my Eldar, and they had a... Oh god, what were they? It was two of the smaller ones, and then they had a Phantom in the shop, because like the owner just had them.
The Wraith, whatever.
Nope, the Wraith Lords were even smaller.
Oh, whatever. I know what you're talking about now.
Because it was Wraith Lord, then they made the Wraith Knight in 5th or 6th?
6th.
Because that was when it started as like, oh yeah, it's a Lord of War, you can have one of these, and then like the next edition they were like, actually... Yeah, they were like, actually, these are just a heavy support slot, so you can take like 3 or 4 of them. It was like, what the shit? Because I remember the one guy who was a cheese player was just like, oh, I go from one of these to my entire list is like 5 of them? Let's go! And I was like, I feel like that's not what this is meant for, but alright.
But whatever. Sells models.
Yeah, like I'm not here to judge, I'm just silently judging you for your choices. I don't remember the name of it though, but there was like 2 different kinds of like actual like Titans. And he was like, oh yeah, we've got 2 of these ones, and then the Phantom, which was the bigger one. And I was like, cool, can I use them? And he's just like, yeah, dude, I don't care. So that was my entire list, was like, I took every tank I could, I took these friggin' Titans, and I remember people being like, oh, we're gonna do this, and this, and this, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, I'm just gonna drop this Titan, and immediately having 6 people look at me and be like, you gonna learn? And I'm like, gonna learn what? And you've never seen, like, Space Marines at orc numbers, and how absolutely just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna send wave after wave of dude at you until you are dead. It's just like, oh yep. God, what is happening?
Fluffy, hello. I made 5 ups like it was my job. Yes, sir. Dude, orcs making 6 ups all the time. It's a numbers game. You roll enough dice, half your army will live.
Oh yeah. Actually, all right. One other funny 40k story, and then I'll stop talking about it. Was a tournament, and somebody was playing Harlequins, which was hilarious because they had just gotten their codex, and everyone was like, they're terrible. And I was playing again. It was just like it was an actual tournament, so I'm like, I'm gonna play this dumb Death Star. And he's like, okay. Like I get this Harlequin player round 1. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. This is gonna be easy peasy. I don't give a shit. I drop a bunch of psychic powers at him. It's like, oh yeah, something like 80 strength 7s, hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s, and because they're Harlequins, it's like strength 7 versus I don't even remember the toughness 3. Yeah, so it's like 2s to kill, and he's like, yeah, but that's okay. They've got hollow suits. I get a bunch of 5-up involves, and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And this dude rolls them, and I think out of 70 shots that I took, I was just like, I'm gonna blow up everything here. This is fine. I killed 2 dudes because he just went, okay, here's my first set of like 35 rolls. Oh, a bunch failed, but I have rerolls from this. I'm like, yeah, I still don't care. He's like, okay, 1. I'm like, what? And he's just like, yeah, 1. And I'm like, oh, what? He's just like, yeah. And he like shows me the die. I'm like, okay. And I was only half paying attention, so I'm like, is he fucking with me? So I actually watched the. Nope. 2 guys die out of like 70 shots, and then he's like, oh, okay, now my entire army's gonna charge your Death Star unit, and I hit on like 3s re-rolling, and I wound on like 3s or 2s, and anything that hits a 6 is an AP2, and it ignores invols and ignores feel no pain. And I was just like, I'm sorry, what's happening? And he just like blows up my entire like, I think it was like a 1200 point Death Star unit, and like 1 round of just like dudes charging at him. I was like, what the fuck? And he's just like, hey, good game, man. Like I'm like, shut up. You shut your whore mouth. You get away from me.
Are a thing, and they make dice games very interesting.
I was so upset.
I'm looking at you, Harusk.
I want to talk about my
character. How have you been? I've been good, man. Been cranking away at this army. Our convention's next week.
Yeah, it is.
I should be finished in time. Well, there's not a should. I have to be finished in time.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think should's gonna work. I think if you show up and we're like, Travis, I tried, he's just gonna be like, that's nice. You can't use this stuff.
And then yeah, just been kind of chilling after over all of that. I've been watching your back streams in the while. So you've been streaming?
I mean, yeah, because that was the point of 40k. It was cinematic. It was fun. It was just goofy shit that you were like, why?
It didn't need to make sense.
Like, why in God's name was this happening? But like, For every fun moment, like, oh yeah, like in the moment, that was frustrating as hell, and moments like that made me want to drop the game because it was like, what do you mean that like I
And then
did
2 weeks
all of this
later, you love
stuff,
it.
and your response is just like, oh, that's cool. I ignore all of that.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad there is no mechanic like that in War Machine. There's nothing that just says, oh, like you cannot actually like hurt me, or I have a chance to just like take everything you just did and say no. Like the closest you get is like the nonsense with like, oh yeah, but I have like a 4-up rerollable tough save and no knockdown, and it's like, okay, but like grievous wounds exists,
Yeah,
so
like if you have remove from
no.
play or things like that, you can get around his nonsense.
Yeah, and that's what drew me for War Machine and what kept me in was just like, even on days where it's like, oh yeah, this is terrible for me, like there's always tools. Nothing is just a straight like, oh, you get this. There's no auras of like, oh, all of your stuff just gets +1 to hit and +1 damage. Like it's always there's play and counterplay to everything.
Mm-hmm. Really can stream more extra cash flow and relaxing one. Dude, hell yeah. Congrats, man.
Well done. Haley 2 hurt everybody.
Fluffy, I'm gonna make a note. I'm gonna go sub to you later.
Like I said, current day Signar players need to pay for the sins of their ancestors in Haley 2. I don't care if that's unreasonable. I don't care if that's not fair to people who weren't even playing then. Signar's gotta pay.
What if someone hits you with that? I wasn't alive then.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
If you're playing Signar, you are responsible.
Hang on one second. I gotta take my hoodie off.
You chose to play a faction full of nonsense. I say as fully aware of that I am a Mark II Legion player and also did some nonsense, but like none of it was that bad. Incidentally, if anybody from SFG is here, bring back Mark II Illicite, you cowards.
What was Mark II Eyeless Sight? Okay, walk me through that.
So Mark II Illicite was you ignore concealment and cover.
Cool.
You ignore line of sight blocking terrain.
Crazy. Got it.
Between flight and Illicite. So like obstructions, you could see through. Forests, you could see through. Like it just nothing was there. Clouds,
Okay.
you saw through them. So what would happen when I was learning the game, I didn't realize that terrain had rules for like 8 months of playing this game.
Because you just ignored it all the time?
Yes, because you didn't get concealment, you didn't get cover, you couldn't hide behind a forest. If you were on the field with a Legion army, they could see you and they could do whatever they wanted to you.
Nice. That sounds kind of nice.
Oh, it was dope as shit. For the Legion player. Less so for everybody else.
Yeah, take it up. Don't worry, Will. I did. I'm down to a t-shirt now.
But like I remember playing games with Lilith 2 where it was just like, I'm gonna press the Ravagore button until it broke. And the entire game plan was just Lilith feats, all the Ravagores get snipe, which was 4 inches of range, and an extra shot, and you could not hide on the table. They had arcing fire, and ignored literally every piece of terrain. So like, no matter where you went, I could see you. No matter where you went, I was shooting you. You were getting shot. You were getting lit on fire because that was their animus. So like 1 or 2 of them would just cast it, and everything else was just going cool. I double boost every single POW 15.
Bonkers. Okay. Maybe don't bring that back.
It was dope as shit. It was 100% not okay. But like, this was also the days of Mark II, where there was a lot of not okay things. So it's fine. The thought process was everybody has some overpowered nonsense, and if everybody has overpowered nonsense, then nobody really has overpowered nonsense.
That is a philosophy to have. Is it correct? Who knows? But it's the thing.
Yeah, it sure is. What was the other fun one? Saren's Feet Mark II was literally just you cannot target models in her control range with melee attacks. That was the feat. So they got to go up and punch you and do whatever they wanted, and then Saren said, "Cool, I feat. You can target me with guns," and literally that's it. But it wasn't even like, oh, you can try and like it misses. No, you just couldn't target at all.
Interesting. So has War Machine always been a 2-list game, or was that something that was added later?
Tournament format was always 2-list.
Okay.
What I really want to see them bring back is an old rule. I don't know if you know about this. It was called Divide and Conquer.
Nope.
Cool. So what that said was that you could only have one. Like if you took a character model, it could only be in one of your 2 lists.
Oh, I remember that. Someone's told me about that.
And then you had to play both lists at an event.
Oh, like at some point you had to drop your other one?
Yep. So if you had, Harusk, and you were just like, oh, I'm gonna play Harusk all day, and like, I guess I just take another list to like make people think about it and scare them into things. That meant you had to drop your other list at some point, or you just one list Harusk, and then people would know, oh, you're dropping Harusk, so I'm going to drop my Harusk answer instead of having to think about it.
Interesting. That's kind of cute. I like that.
I want them to bring that back. If only for like if you have a character, it can only be in one list.
I like the list thing more than I like the one of things more.
See, I really liked that because it led to a bit more list diversity, and it also really made you think like, oh, Pythia just came out. Which one of my lists is actually going to get the most from her, and which is just like, oh, like she's just nice to have.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay.
But it led to situations where it wasn't like, oh, you have Getorix in both lists because he is clearly the best heavy. You have Typhon in both lists because he's just the best. Like, it became okay, he's going to do really well in one of these, and the other one, like, I guess I have to figure out something else. So you could make, like, super, not OP, but, like, kind of bullshit character heavies and character units because they could only ever be in one list.
It was fine. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Some of these fucking angles on this cat are going to be... I'm really happy I'm painting this part first.
Mm-hmm.
These are the times I wish these cats came in multiple pieces.
Yup.
But if they came in multiple pieces, I wouldn't have them built and on the table.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to assemble things ever, because fuck that noise. But I would be significantly happier if some of the stuff, like, instead of coming in like 40 pieces, what if it just came in like 2?
Then we'd have a Marvel Crisis Protocol problem.
Maybe.
Where the models look like they have just been glued together, like, from the 1980s. I'll be lurking and stuff. Cool, man. Thanks for hanging out. I do appreciate.
That is, if I have to have a complaint about, like, Shadow and Scum, it's that, like, everything was a bunch of pieces, which is fine. Like, it's great. I love it when it's in, pieces a bit. The thing that bothered me was that, like, none of those pieces, were, like, you could, like, 2/3 build this thing, and then, like, just leave the rest of it.
Because, like, 2/3 is still, like, not a model.
I mean, it was, but it was just, like... So what I really like, or would have liked, was if it was... Okay, like, the shades. You could put them together and, like, leave the wings off. Like, they just slot in.
Oh, I see what you
Something
mean.
like
but
that.
The wings are part of the torso, basically.
Right. So, like, for painting them, it's like, okay, I have to put this together so I know how it goes together to use it. But also, like, if I do that, to paint it, like, I'm trying to, like, reach in between this very small gap where there's... wing on wing on wing, and trying to figure out, like, what is the easiest way to do this to actually be able to paint it.
I've been when we switched to resin models, I definitely got into the mindset of if I can't reach it, then my opponent probably can't see it, so I'm not painting it.
Yeah, see, I can't do that.
I challenge you to try that because it is freeing. Is it a freeing mental state? Let me tell you.
Oh, I believe you. The thing that bothers me is like, it's so like again, you put all the stuff together, right?
Oh yeah,
The new stuff. Okay, so like on the shade specifically, you can see in between the wings and back.
yeah.
Like you can, but like
Well,
once
you
it's all
can't. Your
together,
opponent can't because they're facing
sure,
them.
sure, but like you can. So I would be staring at it like, oh, like from the back, this looks awful because I can see that like like half of the inside of the wings just isn't painted, and like the chitin on the back isn't painted. Like there's a bunch of stuff like that where I just be like, this is
That makes sense. Yeah, I can see that.
this is not okay. But like to paint it, it was such a pain to get in there.
Yeah. I do wish. What is it? Valex that had the wings that just plugged in, or is it the Big Jack?
No, the Big Jack had they were part of like
body.
the
Yeah,
yeah.
did not like that. That was like probably my biggest critique was like his torso was like really seamliney.
Yeah, it is. I didn't bother filling it. I think it still looks fine, but it's like this could have been better.
I wish they would have done like the seams of like I don't and like this is where I would love to talk to whoever I want to know who cuts up the models and like decides like this is where the seam's gonna be. Like what was their
Yeah, like the
decisions?
engineering.
Yeah, like what made you choose this over this? Like how does this process work? Because if I
Yeah,
feel
is
like
it
we
just
had that knowledge just within somebody, like a lot more things would make a lot more sense.
yeah? Like was it entirely just like a okay? Well, we only have this much space on
The runner.
the sprue,
Yeah.
and like that. Therefore, like you have to have like this many cubic centimeters is like usable space, and this many is not. So like this is what you have to do.
Yeah, those are the things I've always like been curious about when it comes to plastic production.
Hmm.
I think you could bring it back. Get rid of the armies of legend. I mean, this is my theory. I know nothing. They're gonna get rid of Army of Legends. Not next year, but next year they're gonna be like, you have 1 year to play with your Armies of Legend, and then 2027 you better be on a Mark IV. That's my theory.
I mean, they flat out said in one of the again the AMAs that like the plan was for all of the armies of legend at some point to like they're just gonna be gone.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, they said it in one of the AMAs. The plan is every army, including the ones they are currently making, has a phase out date.
Interesting.
With the explanation being like, you know, if we didn't do that, you end up in a situation like Mark II and Mark III where you just have a never-ending
Model bloat and skew bloat.
Yeah. And like it makes it impossible for retailers and everything else. So the plan is it is going to be a while and you will get years of use out of a given army before that happens. But like there is going to be a sunset date for everything.
I mean, I don't hate that. Because it also keeps the rules fresh. It keeps it easier on the team to balance if things are. It's like Magic rotations.
Yeah, basically.
On a much extended scale. But it is kind of like that. That's interesting. I've never seen that. Like 40K, I guess, does it by accident because they're like, oh, this model's just out of print.
Or they just increase the size of Space Marines and then like, oh, these are new Space Marines now, and also the old ones are conveniently not here.
Yeah.
So like I don't hate it as an idea. My only real concern with it as a concept is like, okay, what is the date? Because if you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna release 3 or 4 new armies a year. Every year we want to release an army a quarter. Like, okay, cool. Like, what is the point where you start looking back and being like, oh, so we released X number of armies, and Orgoth Sea Raiders was the first one we released, therefore they're getting sunset, but like, this new army is coming out.
Yeah.
like what is the timetable for doing that? What does that actually look like?
I don't know how I feel about like
And
if
like
like
what?
Sea Raiders or Dusk got cut because I was like, man, like I feel like because like that's when I need to know that date because I'm like,
Yeah. So like that's the other thing is like, okay, how much heads up do we get? Because if it's just like, oh yeah, at the end of this year it's gonna be gone, like there are people that probably bought in like the last year. That's gonna suck. But like
yeah,
if you give people too much of a heads up, it's like, oh, in 2 years this is gonna be gone. It's like, well, I'm not gonna buy it then because I can only use it for 2 years versus
yeah, and
other
then you're
stuff.
gonna
But
sit
like,
on stock forever because no one's gonna buy
exactly.
it. Yeah,
So like I think the way to do that is like to figure out what that date is, and it doesn't have to be right now. But like whenever you figure out that like, okay, the like the Armies of Legend stuff, we are going to sunset it on this date. It's gonna be done. Like you let everybody know that, and then you go, okay. The plan is that an army is going to have a 5 year rotation, or a 7 year rotation, or an 8 year, whatever it is, right?
yeah,
And you let people know from the beginning that like, hey, an army is getting retired 7 years after it is released. So you are going to get 7 years with it.
if
So
you
that
buy it at launch, yeah,
yeah, so that everybody knows that okay, when you buy into this, you're getting X number of years, and if it's been out for a while, here's the in the January update of this year, it's going to get dropped, so that new players know, hey, before you buy into this, it has 3 years left, and then it's not going to be usable anymore.
it's a very interesting tactic.
I think that's what you have to do to avoid the feel bad moment of like, oh, I bought into this army 6 months ago and now it got sunset, and like,
Oh no, I know that, I know that, I know what you mean. I'm just saying that as a whole in miniatures is just like an interesting concept to me.
oh yeah, for sure.
Because like I'm from 40K, you can still play your second edition models. You just got to put them on the right base size.
Yep. Actually, they don't even have to be on the right base size. Fun fact.
Oh really?
They have to be on the base that they were supplied with. That
Oh,
is the rule. So that was a fun one from when I was playing Eldar because they redid Wraithguard. So they
yeah.
went from like the old small bases to they brought them up to like medium bases. And I showed up with the small base ones and people were complaining and they're like, I'm like, no, these are the old metal Wraithguard that you had to buy for like $15 each. Like these are on the bases they were supplied with, and had TOs be like, they are. You can still use them, and I'm just like, yeah, fuck you guys. I don't know if they changed that rule recently, or it was like actually it has to be on like this standard size, but like that
Yeah,
used to be the rule.
yeah. And then like I think 8 to 10 years is still like on paper you're like in this amount of years you won't be playing this army. 8 to 10 years is a long time. That is 10% of of a life,
Yeah,
if not more percentage of your life. Like
right. There's a chance in 10 years, like I'll have not be able
I
to
got hit
play
by a
anymore.
bus and it won't matter.
Yeah,
Like
like oh hey, people have kids or go to college or do whatever else, and it's like oh I didn't have time to play anymore, so like I got 6 years out of this, and then 10 years later I come back. Oh, what do you mean it's not usable anymore? Well, yeah, dude, it's been 15 years since you bought it. It's not usable anymore, dog.
yeah, no, that I hadn't heard that. Thank you, and I'm glad that I'm not. I'm. Oh, I don't pay attention to the AMAs that much because I just look for Dusk Colossal things and I leave it at that.
Is the Colossal here? No? Fuck it, I'm out.
All I got was a toe pick. What the heck? That is
thought you
all
were
we
talking.
have. All we have is a foot pick of the
I thought
Dusk
you were.
Colossal.
I thought you were talking about in chat for a minute. I'm like, who's putting their foot picks up? Like, sell that shit. What? Don't just give that away for free.
Yeah, don't spoil us like that. Look, Alec, if you stop lifting washing machines irresponsibly, you will be alive in 10 years.
I mean, I didn't plan to be on live this long, so
Yeah, we're just free balling it right now. Hanging out, taking it by the see what happens. No plans.
I spent a lot of time in EMS, and yeah, after a while, it's like, I didn't plan to make it this long. So the fact that I'm still here at all is just surprising to me. Tried very hard not to be for a bit. People will still feel bad. I mean, yes, of course.
Yeah, people are
Like,
gonna feel bad no matter what.
no matter what you do, like somebody's gonna be upset. But I
Especially
think,
nowadays, like, you can't not upset somebody.
yeah, I think the more transparent you can be with it, though, and like the sooner you can be transparent with it, like the better. Obviously, like the hang up there is again, like if you tell people, oh yeah, in 10 years this is useless, like, well, do people just like 5 years in stop buying it? Like, what does that do for stocking? What does that do for your sales of stuff? Like, I don't know. But like, I think there's definitely a point where it's like, look, you need to let people know. You need to like give them a heads up of more than just like, oh, by the way, in 6 months this isn't usable anymore.
Yeah.
Because especially if it's like, again, the biggest feels bad is going to be if you get somebody who buys in and goes, oh yeah, I just spent, $400 and I bought an entire Orgoth army, and then they get told, oh yeah, by the way, in 6 months it's not usable anymore. Like, well, what the fuck did I just spend $400 on then?
Let me know, Chad, if you can hear this music. Or if it's too loud or whatnot, you just tell me.
I can't hear your music at all.
It's still probably coming through. But yeah, a core cadre would be interesting to have, like, be like, oh, hey, Kane's always gonna be alive. But like, you could also rotate it, like, if they could time it with the lore and be like, oh, Kane died, the faction crumbled, and that's why they're gone. Like, if they could also lore tie it into a thing, I think people that'll also make people feel less bad about armies leaving.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I think that's the problem with like 40k things. They're like, where'd this person go? And they're like, he's there somewhere. I think if you could give them like a reason aside from just like,
as we said so.
Yeah. Be like, oh no, they actually died because he defended this invasion. So then the next Signar army is actually his remnants, or like it's his daughter who rebuilt gravediggers as like digger graves. Like whatever. Kind of thing.
Yeah. I think the other thing that would just be weird is like say you take oop. What happened?
Oh, your thing.
Yeah,
your thing died? Oh no.
I
know why your thing died, because I clicked off Discord.
Ah, did I do it?
There we go. We're good.
Oh god, what happened?
We're good. It was my problem, not yours. I fixed it.
How dare you? How dare you?
I'm sorry. Just adding music for the people.
Yeah, so like say Orgoth gets sunset, right? At some point. Like, that's how much like design space that gets opened up because they got sunset. So like
rules
your
and models.
So like the new army or a new army presumably picks up that design space. But like, what does that actually look like? And like both aesthetically and gameplay wise, is it going to be like a rotation of like, okay, so Orgoth got sunset, but here's Orgoth, effectively Orgoth version 2.
Yeah,
because
what
like
are they going to do with that army gone?
Yeah, like I think that would be one where it would be, I don't know, that one feels weird because it's like it could be both good and bad. Because like if you go, oh yeah, they're gone, but like here's basically all of the same rules, you're gonna get people being like, oh, so like you're just trying to sell me more models.
Yeah.
As if like you weren't a company whose entire, business relied on that.
But like if Orgoth was wiped out by Tristan on a Dino Rider, and then Dino Rider Tristan took that design space.
Yeah.
That is
And
closure for the people and something new.
Right. And I think if you do it right, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
But like you have to have like a general idea of like, okay, so like an Orgoth army is defined by like these 2 or 3 mechanics, and like those 2 or 3 mechanics are always going to be in whatever replaces them. Chimera is defined by these mechanics, like that's what's always going to replace them. The aesthetics can change, the actual like rules can change, but like the idea of like, okay, it's a fast-moving assassin-style army, like that's the vibe we want to get with everything that replaces it, type of thing. I think that's probably
that's interesting. So the armies would fall into armies of legend.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
But then it becomes how long does something sit in armies of legend?
Yeah, I think
okay.
I think armies of legend, they sit there for a year max.
I think you have to go more than that.
Well, no, I'm saying like, because you'd have like let's just say the total time span is like, so someone who doesn't pay attention to the blog posts or whatever, like like if you buy your models, you're like, oh, I have 6 years, but you buy them with like 2 years left. And then like a year in, you notice your models are now moved because you have 2 years left total. That's including the 1 year in Army of Legend. You have 2 years total. You play a year and you just play the game with your friends locally on the weekends. And then at the year mark, you're like, oh, where are my models? You see they're in Armies of Legend. Then it might either prompt you to look that up and be like, oh, my army's getting sunset in a year. And like that's like a visual like change for somebody. And like they're like, you have a year left with this army. That's your heads up.
Sure. I think if you're like that's the route, I think you want to give it like 2 years in Armies of Legend.
That makes sense. I mean, that's kind of what we're gonna have now. So because of my guess is like this year and next year are the last years for legacy stuff.
Yeah. But I think that would be like the not ideal, but like quote unquote ideal time frame of just like, okay, we're putting this in Armies of Legend. It's not getting any new releases. There's not going to be another cadre that works for it. Nothing. Like it's here, and in 2 years, like it's gone, and that gives 2 years for stores to sell their stock or
like we're stopping production 2 years out.
I mean, I think that's going to be the other thing that is going to be
like, when do they stop production?
Well, not only that, but like, okay, you want to do things with like local stores. Like, if a store doesn't sell a thing, or they go, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy in, if they don't know that, like, hey, Orgoth has been around for a while. And like, if you're trying to rebuild relationships with stores, like, there's easy ways to fix that, like buyback programs, whatever else. Like, hey, if you didn't know when you bought this in the last year, like, we'll buy it back from you, so you don't get burned on it.
Yeah.
Like there's things like that could do to like not be shitheels.
I can't wait for those dirty undead elves to be finally gone. You know what's funny? These are gonna go away, and then the vampire counts are just gonna come back in.
Get Rick Scrub.
Yeah. I hope I was talking with my friend. We were kind of trying to guess like what the next wave would be. And I'm hoping they do like a vampire counts aesthetic for the Fane of Nero. I think that'd be pretty neat.
I feel like we could go full skeletons. Like cyberpunk skeletons, like actual skeletons.
Yeah, I'll make them cyberpunk. Don't worry about that.
I believe you.
I don't care anymore. It's cloth now.
I'm glad everybody gets to play the game of what is this material. It's my favorite game on this Chimera stuff.
Oh, I'm not playing that game on Makira, and the whole model is just gonna be freaking gray. Like, I am just painting the model like as if it's just one big thing, and that's it. I'm not trying to play around with that. I'm not trying to like take extra time. It is gonna be this model's armor and shitten is all gonna be gray. It's gonna be a cool gray, but it's gonna be gray. Hazzy, what's up, Brian? This is Haz, bro. We are painting the boy. He's coming with me to Adepticon.
Monkey boy. Wait, he is?
Not for IG.
Oh, you're taking him in it. I was gonna say
Yeah.
you're taking him in IG.
No, I'm taking him in the Eggers is taking him in the 2v2.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's funny, actually.
So I have to paint him. is what
Like how
what
that's how that-
happened.
I like how that's how that works.
Yeah. I get the work. Oh
Did
yeah,
you
did you
hear,
see my meme, Valley Girl Valix? That came from Alec.
You're gonna start talking in Valley speak? I don't even like
Like Valley Girl,
Val-
like Beverly Hills.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, Valley Girl
absolutely.
Valix. That's what it is.
No. I have standards. They are not
Polska.
high standards.
But that's one of my standards. Yeah. Polska, I do think whenever that sunsetting happens, they're gonna have like 10 armies in rotation, and like
Yeah,
2 are gonna
They've
fall
got
out.
more.
Because how many armies we have now, and they're gonna release 3 more than we know now this year alone, and then they're gonna do another 4 next year. Like we're gonna have plenty of our options.
Yeah, and like obviously they had said, "Hey, we're doing this," but like there was no time frame on it, so like
They
I
still have to
wouldn't be super
establish the
worried.
game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be super worried about it yet. Just more of like a be aware that this is a thing that like at some point is going to happen, and like if that's a deal breaker for you, then like
I don't even know if it's like that's so. I think that's so far off for people. That's like it does not matter right now.
it shouldn't. But like
Yeah. There's not a lot of Jade on Hazaroth, which is fine by me because it means less I have to paint him.
that's how you do.
Yeah, I think because because we know like 4 or 5 more armies are in existence,
Yeah, it's
and they're coming.
Grave.
And then we have like the lore that's like there's 2 more probably. Rule Guard, hopefully, fingers crossed.
So what we know, Gravediggers and Old Umbraer are both coming like this year, and then we know Reaper Covenant, Ember Frost,
Bane of Nero,
and Fane of Nero, and
The
then
Blind
Kith, Kithkin, whatever it is. I don't know, the
You
one
sound
that's like
Mike,
classic
Mike
trolls.
Tyson trying to say Deepkin.
There you go.
Now Kith.
Yeah, we got classic trolls. So like, there's what 5 right there.
Yeah.
6. And then presumably like there's going to be like entirely new factions, entirely new armies, and like each one of those should get 2 more.
I wonder if the 2 thing will continue, or if that'll just be like.
I mean, I don't know. I would assume it continues. Like it seems like a solid point to be at.
Because like I don't know if you need like 2 Rule Guard armies, for example.
I mean, I don't think you need 1 Rule Guard army.
I don't. But also like, do we need 2 Crix armies? Because like, I feel like that is.
I mean, yes, because I think there's enough in Crix to do that. Like you have Mechanothralls, and then and Spooky Ghosts, and then you have like Banes.
That's fair. Yeah, I think there's enough there. But I think some armies don't need the 2 that might. Is my
Maybe, and yeah, maybe there's a cutoff where it's like, okay, like these ones need it and these ones don't, or maybe like, hey, there's enough here where like this is gonna be 3. I don't know.
These kids would be too short.
But I'm
Funny.
Rimshot Tyrants with the jokes.
Dude, he's always rimming.
Hey yo,
Yeah.
this is a PG stream, my friend.
Is it?
Yes.
Who said so? Because I didn't.
No, fair enough.
These Slayer's legs are very chunky.
Players be slaying.
They sure do be. Oh, there's so much jade on these models. Oh. Akers, why did you do this to me?
Did you hear Chris and Nate's thing?
No.
So we're sitting the other morning, and Chris is like, "Oh yeah, anybody want to just like hang out? I'm sitting here painting. I've got to get this balloon done for ATC." And I'm like, "Yeah, we're just gonna sit and paint anyway. Like I finished my league game, so like I'll hang out with you. I got stuff to do." So we're just sitting in there chatting, and he's like, "Yeah, I gotta paint this. I don't really need it, but like Nate needs it because he said he was gonna run it in ATC and something else." I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, you're doing it for him." He's like, "Yeah, it's this, that, And we sit there and chat, and it's like several hours later. Nate comes in, and he's like, "Oh, hey, he comes in to like just talk, whatever." And Chris makes a comment of like, "Oh yeah, I spent all morning working on this friggin' balloon for you, so like, you better appreciate it." And there's like a pause, and Nate just goes, "I don't actually know if I need it."
Oh no.
And he's like, what? I spent all morning working on this. And he's like, "Yeah, but like, I don't... It's like, if you want to paint it and like keep painting it," he's like, "I could use it the rest of the year. I just don't know that I'm going to need it here." So he's like, "Oh, okay, I will finish it, and I'm not going to bring it with me then because I need bag space. I'll ship it to you. But also, why would you do this to me?" And I was like,
geez.
Off.
So
Like,
this is
oof.
a question I have, because we're bringing up blimps, and this is actually a good topic. Because it says Steamforge Games in the rulebook, could I put a Helldivers logo on a blimp, or in any model for that matter? Because now Helldivers has a Steamforge game. Ooh.
I don't think so. And I only don't think that because specifically in the conversion part of the rules, it was like any trademarked brand of any other company cannot be like part of a conversion. And I think even though they have a deal with them to like make a game, that's still probably trademarked by somebody else. Like they just have permission to use it for this one thing. But because of the rules, it's of it saying it needs to be at least 50% or 51%.
So that's not in the rules. It says the majority of the model. There is no percentage.
Okay, so a majority would be 51%.
Okay, I'm only being pig. I'm only playing devil's advocate because it just got done to me.
No, that's fine. So
like my blimp does not, like, the can is not blimpy enough. Like there's too much can to blimp, even though the bottom half, which is 50% of the model, is not enough, which is why I painted the top half.
I get it. All I was gonna say is that like because it's a majority has to be from Steamforge Games models. Technically, that means any of the board games. So like you could go
and use like Elden Ring models for Old Cawdor.
Yeah, if you were like, actually, I really like the look of these wings from this Elden Ring board game, I'm gonna swap them out with the wings on the Atlas or Valix or whatever. Like,
yep,
it's still 100% Steamforge game stuff. That's legit.
Yep, that I am excited for. Some of the conversions we could pull off and that people can do.
I mean, I'm not going to do them, but somebody can.
Will.
I'm waiting till somebody just makes like an entire Crix army out of like Dark Souls undead. Like, let's go. What are you talking about there? The Mechanothrall arms are there, and these are 100% Steamforge models.
True. Got his ass.
Get him.
It'd have to be an actual SFG part. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's one of those, like, that was one of those gray area questions I had.
Yeah, that's why I told you, double check it.
Oh, I mean, I double checked it, and it was like, he was like, nah. I was like, all right, we're just gonna paint the top half of the blimp, and it all magnetizes together, so we're okay.
Yeah, but that's why I said to double check, because it's like, look, I'd rather you find out now whether it's okay or not.
Yeah.
Then you get there day of event and somebody has to go, hey, that's not okay, and like, you can't use it. Like, you should have checked.
Yeah.
Because one of those is okay, this is annoying, but like, fine, I can fix it. One of them is, well, what
Now
the
I
shit?
don't have a blimp. Now I don't have a blimp.
Now I'm down, what, 13 points?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine playing down 13 points all day and still just being like, yeah, I won anyway. Fuck handicaps.
Dusk things. Alright. I don't think I can...
Shut up, Joe. We're not doing any kind of alliance. We are not bringing back cross-faction armies with your nonsense.
Why not?
No.
That's what the factions are for.
No.
No.
No. Just no. We are not doing Menoth, Kador style bullshit again like Mark III. We're not bringing back all the friggin' Thamorite stuff. Like, just no. You don't need Warriors of the Old Faith version 2.
Ooh, excuse me.
Solid. No, I never thought my adult life I would spend any amount of time sitting here painting dragon toenails, but here we are.
Here we are.
You just hate Menoth Kador. Yes, I am. I am a hater girl. I said see you later, girl.
Dude, that's Valley Girl speak. You just did it. Valley Girl Valex. You got. You have to do it now.
Shut up. Thank you so much. Shut up, Alec. You think you're so fucking smart.
Alec, are you doing Bokor this year?
I hope you step on a Lego.
He probably will. He's got kids.
Yeah, to any of the 8 people here, if you're not doing Bokor, do Bokor. Bokor's awesome.
Yeah, Alec, I was talking to him. I don't know if he'll have the time. It's like he's got stuff with work going on.
That's what calling in is for.
Yeah. But I will let him answer if he's doing Bokor or not. Do I paint up? Do I try to get in those ribs for now? Probably not. I can do that when I get back. Yeah, we'll do that when we get back.
Barbie shoes are worse than Legos. Yeah, I bet.
That's quite the response. I like that.
I hope you step on one of them then.
I definitely think I'll be able to finish at least the Slayers and Hazaroth blocking in. I do not know if I'll be able to. I'm going to try to finish the cats today. We'll see.
I believe in you.
Yeah. Thankfully, I don't have anything else to do today.
See, there you go.
Yeah, I was going to go to I was like, oh, I'll skip the gym yesterday. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to the gym tomorrow or yesterday. So I could just go. I could just paint today.
I have... Doing this now, I have a doctor's appointment later, and there's definitely something else I'm supposed to be doing today. Because I remember being like, oh, it's Thursday, I have to do this. I don't know what it is. Which is, you know, the worst.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely remember it at some point.
Yeah.
Probably at like 10 o'clock tonight, and then going, fuck!
Yeah. That's why I bought a calendar. And
Oh,
I've gotten maybe semi-unhealthily dependent on it, but it has been helpful.
Yeah. It's probably fine.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, for those things you don't have two armies, you could do like Rule Guard and remade Steelheads in the other army and call it XX. No, that's just Merc's version 2. We're not doing that either.
Yeah, I do not want Mercs version 2. I want like real armies. I'm fine with armies having Mercs, like how we have now. I don't want a Merc army. Just got my squad.
I would like to see a Gatorman or like Pig Army brought back. I think that'd be neat too.
That would be very War Machine aesthetic too. I just got my SWAT rack and also just realized I'm on the wrong account. This is Matt. What's up, man? I hope you ordered enough plates, because that's my problem and why I don't have a home gym, is because I don't feel like ordering enough 45s or 55s.
Have you considered just using them less?
No, so here's the infinite problem of lifting weights. It always gets heavier, but you always have to add more heavy circles. So
that does seem like a problem.
Yeah, and I'm at the point where it's like, the way I measure my hip thrust is in Lizzos. So like I can hip thrust 2 Lizzos, which is a lot of plates.
Oh god, that's great.
$300's a good start, I'd say.
I like how 300 is a start.
I mean, like, I also have the problem of my wifey is also jacked as frick too, and I'm like, oh, her deadlift's like proportionally better than mine. And I'm like, all right, well, if we're both working out at the same time, we're both gonna need like at least 6 plates each. So we need like 700 or 800 pounds in just 45s.
So all I'm hearing here is that the plan should be for her to deadlift you while you are also holding a bunch of weight.
That'd be impressive. She'd have to stand on something. And that would mean her deadlift would have to be like 500. Which for women doesn't happen unless you hop on a cycle.
I'm just saying, man. I feel like this is the answer. Like, if you both need to work out at once, one of you works out and the other one has to hold the other person while they're working out.
Yeah, I'll just start benching her while she holds 40 like hundreds, and then she'll just start benching me in general.
Yeah, there you go.
If my wife could bench me, that would be she'd be almost breaking records, which would be awesome.
I have faith in her.
I need about 3 Lizzos worth of weight.
I don't know her at all, but I have faith in her.
I'm thinking about joking. Hey, so fun fact, and this is my thing of, if you're going to take steroids, be careful. The best way to take steroids is being at the lowest body fat percentage, because your body metabolizes testosterone better. Fun facts.
Alternatively, don't do steroids and just, do normal birth control stuff instead. Vasectomies are pretty cheap, just saying.
But like, then you don't get jacked at the same time.
I mean...
See? See?
It's fair, I guess. That's alright. Fair, I suppose.
Zuffy, what's up, man? We're all going to hell for laughing. I think Lizzo actually just lost weight, so I have to find another person to do my measurements based off of.
My old boss used to do the same thing. We had a kid that worked with us. His name was Cody. He was like 90 pounds soaking wet, and both me and him are bigger dudes. So when he started losing weight, he's like, yeah, I lost 2 Codys. And we're just like, all right, good job. Like, yeah, I'm down to a Cody and a half worth of weight now. I'm doing so good. It was just like, okay.
Alec, TRT does not cause you to have TRT is not enough to cause the male birth control problem. You just have to like it takes high dosages of like actual gear to do that.
How was there
Also,
a
I tried to
waiting
get
list?
doctors to prescribe me, and they're like, "No, your T levels are already too high. We shouldn't give you more." I'm like, "Well, what's wrong with me then?" They're like, "Oh, this," and I'm like, "Thanks." Anything you can do for it? Nope. All right.
Well, I was gonna say that sounds like a nice, easy problem, but apparently not.
There's a massive wait list for vasectomies.
How was it? How?
That doesn't. Well, okay. So the area we live in, which is like the Virginia Beach area,
Mhm,
getting
mhm.
doctor's appointments for anything is awful.
Oh, all right, that's fair.
So like just
That's
this
it.
area alone's bad for that.
I was gonna say, shit, I got one, and I literally just walked in and went, "Hey, I want to do this," and they were like, "Yeah, okay, go see this guy," and it was like 2 weeks later, they're like, "Yeah, okay, here you go."
No. Yeah, that is not.
I was
Like
like,
my
"Dope."
dental wait list is like 4 months,
That's wild.
unless it's like an emergency. But like if I just need like, I can't get a cleaning more than once a year because they're so backed up.
Wild.
Yep.
We do appreciate views.
Thanks, Zeph. Appreciate it. Horse from yeah, like the people who hopped on gear early and didn't know all of it or didn't do like the proper testing. They're older now. They're like, oh, whoopsies.
That's. I mean, the VA is an entirely different animal that is underfunded and a clusterfuck because of a multitude of reasons, mostly doing with the government trying to like constantly screw veterans. So that is a problem. I'm not entirely sure it is the same problem.
Also, I have this weird feeling in this area, people just don't like to work. I don't know. I've lived in other areas and I'm like, man, this area just feels so different. I don't know what it is. But I also don't like this area, so I'm probably biased.
Don't do drugs, kids, except steroids, in which case do lots of drugs.
Look, it's your body.
Again, I will
choice.
give
You do.
I will give anybody $1 if you can tell me what that's from. That is a reference, and I'm not going to explain it, but like somebody needs to tell me what it's from, and I will give you $1.
Nope, sorry.
I figured you wouldn't know. You're too young for this. You're basically still a baby.
I kind of am.
Just do HGH. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing to do.
But then you get HGH gut, and like that's not always great.
Just want to go back to my Olympic comment from like 2 streams ago. You want to have an actual competition? You get one just regular dude, who doesn't do anything, and like let him compete.
So you put him with the
And
normal
then-
Olympians.
Yeah, then you get one dude who's just like high as shit on whatever that needs. You're weightlifting, cool. This dude just took a gallon of PCP. Like, let's see what the limits of the human body actually are.
And then if I take HGH, I have to act like Liver King. I don't want to do that.
Much work.
Yeah, that's like a lot of work and like a lot of lying. Like, I get why movie actors and professional athletes lie about it because of brand deals, but like, he didn't have to.
You know who never lied about it? Tiger. That dude's a champ.
Who?
Tiger Woods.
That's true. He did own it. He was just on stuff. I don't remember what he said he was on.
Yeah. He's just like, yeah, I've been on this for years. Like,
It's
What?
great. Why aren't
just
you?
like, oh. Yeah, like, oh, okay. Not even gonna try tonight? No? All right, okay. Well, thanks for being honest, I guess.
I was reading this thing. It was so funny when golfers just found out that if you train like an athlete, you actually play better golf. And I was like,
Yeah.
crazy.
Who would have thought? Actually, it's here's a funny one. So the high school I went to and the high school my fiance went to they've had like 100-year rivalry, quote unquote. And like the one school kind of unilaterally decided like, hey, we're not doing this anymore, and they started bringing up like stats, and they were like, oh yeah, like the average height, weight, like what the score was at halftime, and the thing that got me was the number of players, because it was like we knew, like we've gone to a game since we graduated, like friends wanted to go or whatever. We're like, yeah, okay, screw it, we'll go watch a high school football game and hang out, like bring back some memories, fuck it. And on the one school was fielding like 20 kids. There's like 20 to 25 high school aged teenagers and kids like out there to like play. The other school had like 65. And they were looking back through the scores, and it was like, well, no wonder that when you go back like historically from like 2018 to now, the score would be like 48-3, and at halftime it would be like 36-0. Like the one school with like 20 kids never scored more than like 6 points.
That's not a rivalry. That's a stomping.
Right. And like they did this continually, and I remember when I went to high school, which was, I mean, a long time ago now, like 20 years, which is terrifying. Yeah, right? Like, I remember being like, oh, like, we lost the rivalry game, and me and a bunch of my friends who were all nerds and not at all playing anything, looking at each other going, how? Like, what do you mean we lost? Like, our school has 3,000 people in it. Theirs has, like, 600. How did we lose? What? Like, just from a viewpoint of, like, the amount of talent here, like, one of these is clearly just more than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. So they decided to, like, oh yeah, we're unilaterally ending this rivalry, and our only thought was, like, this was never a rivalry. This was forever just an excuse for one high school to beat the shit out of the other.
The other one.
Like, it was bad enough that when we were the one game we went to and we're watching, we would watch the one team, like, have different, like, offensive and defensive lines, and there would be people that would only be like, oh, I'm a wide receiver, I'm a skill position, that's all I do. And on the other team, it's like, okay, so you're going to be on the defensive line, but you're also going to be our zone coverage, and you're also going to be our punt returner. Like,
you're also going to be extremely tired of this game because you are doing everything, and the whole team's on your back right now.
Literally everything. It literally got bad enough where a couple times we were just watching going, hasn't that kid been, like, out there for the last, like, 35 minutes?
I remember there was this one high school game. I played defense in hockey in high school.
Sure.
We had our defensive line. Our defensive line was 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, not great, but, like, minute to 2 minute shifts, you rotate, you'll be okay. And then there was one time there's 2 of them were sick, and then, like, so it was just 2 pairs of people playing the entire, like, the shifts were bonkers. And, like, I remember being so gassed that game.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of the greatest games I ever played because I got like a solid 30 minutes of real play time, and I was like, Jesus.
I remember I never really played any sports. I remember again, my fiance telling me a story. She's like, oh yeah, I went to play basketball, and, like, I went to try out, and they didn't have tryouts. They had, oh, hello, cat.
Applications?
No, they had, they showed up, and people were like, oh, if you want to play, you need to go find 2 more kids in the hallway. Like, we only have 10 people in here, and you need at least 12. So, like, go find 2 people, or we don't have a team. Like, just go to the hallway, have fun. Meanwhile, the school I went to was, you know, I went to be like, oh, I'm going to try out for wrestling, and there are like 80 people that showed up, and they're like, yeah, we can only take like 40 of you max. So
good luck.
yeah, go be good. Or when I tried out for volleyball, they're like, yeah, okay, you're not good enough to be on, like, the varsity team, but, like, you could be on, like, JV, like, freshman JV. I'm like, that's better than 2/3 of the people out there. What are you talking about? Like, I'm not going on some fucking freshman JV team. Like, you brought in juniors, and I was friggin' better than them. Like, I was hitting spikes that people who have been doing this at your program for years weren't getting. How am I getting put onto the fucking freshman program? Forget this.
I'm at that stage of painting where like I'm finally getting a good like close-up look at these models, and I'm like, man, I love these models. I love that stage of painting where you're like, the details are starting to come out and you start picking out all the different colors, and you're like, this model fucks.
Yeah, you went from trust the process to oh shit, the process is working.
Yep.
That's always my problem when I start something. Is I start it and it's all, I have to be like, trust the process. Just trust
Yeah,
the process.
this yellow was very much a fear factor for me. Or green, whatever the fuck color. It's supposed to be yellow.
Let's say fluorescent yellow.
Yeah. Everyone's like, that's green. I'm like, it's not that green, but like I get where people are saying it's green, but like it's not super
it's pretty. As I say, it's pretty green.
It's pretty green, but it's also like you could make an argument there's yellow in there.
Oh, there 100% is.
Yeah.
It definitely looked more like a fluorescent yellow or green than just like a flat one, but like
there's definitely green in there. But if you look at my Hazaroth, who I painted later, he's more yellow than everybody else because I learned how to do the base coats better.
There you go. Did you actually appreciate him?
No, he's not even appreciated. He just has a stronger prime. Like he just has the stronger undercoat.
There you go.
So I did the prime white. So I did gray under from beneath, and then I would do white on top of that as like a Zenithal prime. And then with Hazaroth, I went back and did a second layer of white on top.
Gotcha.
And that was what set it over the edge.
It's that easy.
It really is.
Let this be a lesson to you kids. Prime your stuff correctly, and it just makes everything easier.
Crazy, right? But the Colossal will get pre-shaded and all that other fun nonsense.
Oh yeah. Because Colossal is going to be okay, this is the centerpiece, I'm going the 9 yards, like...
Yeah, I'm going to put every ounce of effort I had of it into 4 months of painting for this one model.
Yep. I'm probably going to end up doing the same, so...
But the cool thing about that is it becomes a whole series.
Kids are common, now I try and paint for an hour to 90 minutes. Dude, you could have gotten away with it, except you said it out loud and you've just jinxed yourself.
Yeah, you do that a lot, by the way.
You can't do that.
Yeah. He's like, kids are asleep, I'm going to try to paint. Ah, well, they woke up. All right.
Yep. You can't do that. You gotta... No. Inside thought.
I am definitely excited for like when the Dusk are done, I can be like, oh, I only have to paint one model in the next 2 weeks. And that is what I'm excited for. I'm excited just to do like more like small projects and just like scattered ideas.
Right on.
I think that's where like I painted Orgoth and then I immediately jumped to painting all of Dusk in like 3 months. And like I'm burnt out on armies painting.
Yeah. It's definitely a different beast to army paint versus just like, oh, I'm going to do this one model because I really want to.
Yeah. Whole 9 yards. What is that from?
That's a great question.
You're telling me you widowy don't know the movie reference? What the heck?
Shut up. I'm allowed to make. I'm older than you. I can make references that I don't know.
Widowy, you can't.
Excuse me, princess. Yes, I can.
Whoa.
You can play this game.
It's so funny when we like me and my gym partner, because like my gym partner is also my co-host. We'll be at the gym and we'll bust out the Minecraft voice and we're like, "Widoway, I'm stronger than you." Widoway, the strongest.
No. Come on, nothing. I got nothing for you.
All right, tell us the reference, Alec. Go ahead.
You're so smart.
The army did teach him how to read. For better or worse, that is. They didn't teach him how to eat crowns, though, so.
Well.
Alright, that is.
P51 carried 9 yards of 50 cal ammunition per gun. Huh. Me too.
Me too.
Sorry, my fiance just walked by and goes, "I like your buddy," because my cat is sitting next, like, we have a little cube for him, so he's just sitting next to me, like, occasionally every time I, like, rinse my brush.
Oh.
He just, like, looks up, like, "Oh, what you doing up there?" and then, like, sits back down. So it's like a little painting friend, okay.
Alright, that's that guy. That is 3 Slayers done. Only 3 more to go and 6 more cats.
There you go. I have almost got the skin tone on all of these lashers done.
I'm gonna walk around a little bit and I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab a drink.
I'll be here. I'll keep chat busy.
I love you.
She's so proud of herself. Gotta get some smooth jazz up in here. That's what we need. In honor of you, Wolf, I am painting Skilla. Alright. Good man. He is the best girl, so you have made an excellent choice. I would argue that Skilla is currently probably the best character heavy in the game. Although I think Chum takes best looking. It's like, oh my god, that guy's goofy as shit. Moving on to Carver 2 for me, I got Big Pig in a good spot now to his buddy. And there you go. I speed painted Carver 2 and Big Pig at Adepticon last year so that I could play them in ATC and make people sad, and I did, and it was awesome. And I told myself that, like, I'm speed painting them, I'll come home and finish them, and I just never did. That never happened. Love Chum, love Cadre rules, Foul Blood seems goofy as fuck. I don't know if Foul Blood's actually any good. like I don't play trolls, so I don't have any real idea of like all of the synergies. Maybe I'm missing something, but like stumbling drunk doesn't seem super strong. Like maybe I'm undervaluing it, and like I'm willing to be proven wrong there, but it doesn't seem crazy.
It's very
And like
annoying.
foul, I was gonna say, and foul blood doesn't seem like doing anything crazy. Feels like a budget Thorga. Like we have Thorga at home, but like it's the same army, so like you could just be taking Thorga instead.
Yeah, Foul Blood is goofy. Chum is good, but I wish Foul Blood would be really good if Chum also got the feat bonus.
Not good, just goofy. That's fair. Just like I keep seeing pro players being like, yeah, Chum is everything we want in a heavy. Like this guy's gonna be great, and I'm just like, doesn't he just get shot and backed up every turn? Like he never actually gets to engage anything.
Can you apply Fortify so he doesn't have to move?
I mean, you can, but you just knock Fortify off and then
Oh yeah.
shoot him. So like, you know, you look at Crix who has Hex Blast on a stick. Like, you just Hex Blast it off and then go, oh, by the way, I hit you with an AoE, so back up 1 to 3 inches.
True. You can ask you fluff.
Join you and ask you a fluff question. I mean, I don't care.
Sure. I don't mind. But 3 arm, take the hit, wander around. Yeah, it's gonna be very annoying to deal with, but I feel like depending on the scenario, it could just make your whole life worse because it's just gonna keep backing you out of scenario.
Or just keep backing you out of threat range because you're still trolls and you don't threat that far.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's better late game when it's like, oh, I don't actually just have the tools to incidentally knock this off every turn. Although the other option is, of course, to just commit to him in melee with it on him. Be like, okay, you can't walk away and save yourself now. Like, I'll just Blessing of the Gods to
You get to
ignore the
pick the
armor and kill you
direction?
anyway.
But I had to go away. That you had to step directly away.
You get to pick the direction during feat. The rest of the time, it's just directly away.
So does Chum get to pick the direction during feat turn?
Yes.
Ooh, that's kind of fun.
But that's if he has Fortify on himself, then he doesn't get to do it anyway, so. Are you looking for an actual answer or like Drunk War Machine answer? Because I don't know I can give you an actual answer, but I can give you Drunk War Machine answer. I'm not even drunk.
Your opinion on fluff.
Oh,
You
okay.
guys were discussing it earlier, and I was trying to prep food and whatnot. So you're talking about you didn't read the Malcontents novels for War Machine?
Nope.
So, okay. Did you read the? Because you were talking about like how it has to be a caster and stuff like that. But I feel like in some of the novels, it was the who's the pirate duo where it was the guy with 2 guns and the girl who used to cast magic.
Ayana and Holt.
Yeah. So you had good stories about them. You had other good stories about like people who you didn't necessarily.
There's plenty of like good stories. I think like the point I was trying to make is there is a difference between like, okay, here is an interesting story about just like quote unquote regular people, and like going to like
story about Space Wizard.
Yeah, going to like the epic space novella that is like the Horus Heresy. Like a one-off story is fine, but you are never going to hit that level of like reach with like one-off stories about like normal-ish people.
Well, I think the issue is that they'll like announce, like, oh, this is going to be a 3-book series or potentially more, and then they write 1 book, and then the series never continues.
Right.
And I think that's probably more of the like.
I mean,
we
that
have
doesn't
great characters that are not warcasters, but they write 1 book and then nothing. And that's what I'm hoping with SFG, that maybe they will put more effort into it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is just like it's a lot of the books only really ever touch on like other like societies or factions like kind of tangentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, there is very little fluff written from the perspective of, like, the Legion of Everblight. Like, there's a couple books about from Thagrash, but there's not a whole lot else there. So if you're like me, you're a mainline Legion player, like, you don't get a lot of fluff about the army you're playing. Like, it does not exist. So you end up having to be like, oh, well, here's a Wrath of the Dragonfather, and like, yeah, okay, it mentions them, and that's fine, and like, there's definitely like a part of that story, but it's not like about the faction that you're playing, or some of like the Scorn books where it's like, okay, there's some stuff here, but like the main place you would see that kind of fluff is in like the army books, and in that case, it's less of like, here's a story-driven narrative, and a lot of it's just like, okay, here's the background on this character.
So I definitely agree with you there, but I think at least in regards to Legion, a lot of your guys were almost mindless for a long time there. Like, as they were taken over more and more by the Blight, they lost their essence. I mean, your casters still had some of it, but as they started adapting, at least for how it was explained to me by Doug years ago, as they took it on further and further, and they were given more gifts, they lost their actual like personhood. So unless we're going to do something like with the Necrons, where they kind of redid them, I don't think even with your modern stuff with Chimera, I don't know if you would really have that.
So the average person for Legion, yes, was very much a like, okay, you're blighted and you kind of lose who you are as a person. Like, certain aspects come in and out, but like, even from like a just following like the caster standpoint, like all of them except for I think Absalonia were like still fully cognizant and aware of what they were doing, and like, yeah, the being blighted definitely like took some parts of that and made it where it's like, don't worry about it so much, it's fine. Like, don't like try to like bury the PTSD of it all, but like it was still there, and like they like even that was never really explored or like went into. And I feel like if your main faction is like Legion or Crix or whatever, like, yeah, okay, an average Mechanothrall is going to do nothing. Like, there's not a story there, but like there's still something that could get brought into from like the Satixus. Like, you could probably do something as like some kind of a story there, because they're still fully conscious and cognizant and like quote unquote people. You look at Scorn, there's an entire society there you could have done stuff with. You look at Ios, same thing. A lot of those just never really existed, and I think that's part of like, it pulled people out of it by being like, oh, I play this faction and there is no fluff on them, there is no story to read, and that makes it harder to engage with the game.
Like, do you think that might be part of the kind of like the Space Smurf thing, where so much stuff is written by the main character or about the main characters? Like, for example, for 40k, it's Ultramarines have so much stuff, or so with that, there were so many different stories that were specifically written about Signar, and things like that. Because some people want to think of themselves as the good guys.
I think that comes down to that. Is like, when you write stories about Signar, you're still writing stories about normal people, like average dudes. When you're writing stories about Ultramarines, at least you're getting like the super high fantasy of 40k. But like, I think War Machine needs to lead into like, oh, this is like an undead vampire elf. Here's their story, because like, that's cool and weird. And I think they need the cool and weird to draw in new people.
Yeah, I think so. I also think that like the most interesting part of your setting is the Warcasters, and like dig into them, but dig into them in such a like I think they did a really good job with some of the recent fluff, with like the Dead on Arrival stuff, where it was like, okay, here's Wolfe, and he is just a dude, but like, here's how he's trying to navigate this weird political situation and like deal with the fact that undead elves are now trying to come and see, the Signarin king, yada yada yada. Like, that was interesting. I think if you did more like that, where you took these things, it's like, yeah, you're never gonna get like, maybe not never, but like, it's hard to necessarily get a story about like Dusk, because like, they're so divorced from reality and like so inhuman at this point that like trying to
do a story about them.
I think it could, but it's so hard to like humanize this thing while also pointing out that it is very obviously not. Like you're trying to like humanize it enough, but not so much that like you lose the fact that
You need
hanging
some
out with
really
them
good
is
writers.
incredibly like they're not human. They're very dehumanized just by existing. And having like Wolfe as that counterpart was good because he was sitting there being like the average dude who's like, yeah, these guys are weird as shit, and I just saw one of them drain one of his underlings for life, and apparently this was totally fine.
No, I do. I like that story. I agree. I don't know. I feel like we haven't even got very good stories. Like even you said like the human aspect of it, but we haven't gotten very good stories about Ord. Like
Nope.
So I mean that's why I said like we kind of got the main thing was always Signar or a little bit of Krix. I mean
a little bit of Kador.
Yeah, a little bit of Kador. We got one story in Menoth, other than some minor stories. No, I agree with you there. What I was trying to point up is that there are some of them, but it's going to be difficult. But still, there are stories where we have the regular people. That's why I asked you about the malcontents, because reading about like you had 2 full stories about just Signar. I don't want to call them Storm Legion. Oh yeah, well they were Storm Legion, but now they're whatever.
Storm Knights, and now they're Storm Legion.
Yeah, they're Storm Knights and now they're Storm Legion. Where you had Cleesby, you had Madigan. Like the whole story about Madigan, how he was a fallen knight who did he wasn't truly fallen. He did what he was ordered to do, and then the king, the Vinter, was put out, and he's like, well, I am still loyal to Signar. And they're like, well, but you served the old king. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but like
You serve the old king. We don't trust you to serve the new king. Sorry.
And he did serve the new king, but he was still, he was not trusted. He was not respected, and he just kept getting screwed over because of that. And I thought that was a really good like human aspect of the entire society. It's like, because occasionally you had a warcaster go by and they're like, oh shit, that's just a journeyman, and you're like, journeymans are shit. Like in my mind, I was like, oh whatever. Journeyman with a light jack, who gives a shit?
Yep.
But to them, they're like, oh my god, that person can rule the battlefield.
Yeah, like they at some point will be able to like take control of these giant war machines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing is like 40k has or GW as a whole has like a good sense of scale, where it's like, oh yeah, you can follow one dude, but like there's things about how this battle is giant and it's literally like city-wide or planet-wide, and like it does this. It's a whole huge thing. So like even though you're only focused on one small part of it, like
the rest of it's still happening.
Yeah, the rest of it's happening and it's in the background, and it's just this massive like backdrop to it. Whereas like I think that's another maybe not problem, but like a sense of scale with War Machine is like how many jacks does one caster control? 2?
Or like how big is this battle that you're reading about going to affect everything else?
Yeah, like this is
said in chat. There needs to be a continuation, because it feels like there's a bunch of one-offs, but like none of it matters because like how does that affect? And like 40k does an excellent job of like zooming in on one character, giving you perspective, and then like the next chapter or like next half chapter is like a zoomed out like, oh, these millions of people just died at this gate. This other person did this at this gate.
Yeah, this is the thing that's happening here, and it's like I don't know how to like replicate that, but like I think if you could, that would be the way to go.
They have to add urgency, and they have to add a consistent story.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the consistent story, like I feel like we used to get that in some of the fluff books. So this would have been pre your time for Ice King. But like if you remember the entire thing of the first, second, and third battle in Thornwoods, and it was people getting wounded, people going through it, and then you had King Leto goes up there with the first Storm Division, and then he's meeting with the Empress, or was she a queen then?
I think it was queen, yeah.
Okay, so he meets with the Queen of Kador, and they're like trying to negotiate, and then people get wounded. Kador kind of does some sketchy stuff, with taking not Coleman Striker. Who do they capture? Brisbane.
Yes.
Yeah, so captures Brisbane, and there's some sketchy stuff there, and then you find out from a Rusk that it doesn't say it, but that they're gonna betray him and stuff like that. And so you had like good stories, but I feel like then we get that stagnant of, oh, we're done with that now. And you're like, that was a good 5 years of great like movement. But I feel like with 40K, there was a while there where there was no real movement.
Well, no,
Where
there
we
isn't.
were just,
Well, that was the beauty of 40K. There could be movement, and then it would also mean nothing.
Yeah,
Because
like,
the
here
universe
is
is so vast, you could just
Yeah,
keep
here-
doing whatever, and it didn't matter.
yeah, here was this thing on this planet or this ship or whatever, and like it's a big deal for the people who are involved, but the wider galaxy does not care.
yeah, the Emperor still sits on the throne, you know. Well,
Fucking
except
poor
for, you know,
Emperor.
when Cadia finally fell.
Yeah.
And like that was a huge thing. But I feel like there's definitely, we have opportunities for that in War Machine, but also I don't know how many people in War Machine really care. Like
that's
you
what
and
I was
we
gonna
love the
say.
fluff.
I was like, as a War Machine player, I've known the lore is not gonna live up to grand scale, so I just don't care about it. You tell me my vampires are cool, and you tell me Harusk has a bromance with Hazaroth, sweet. After that, that's all I need.
Yeah, beyond that, like there isn't really anything, and I think that's a thing to work. Like you're not gonna get it right away, but I think it's a thing they could definitely like be working towards. It's like how to increase that sense of scale and like make it so that these characters are more humanized and more.
You feel more
like-
connected to them, regardless if they're
Yeah.
human or not. You just feel like Hazaroth, the little bit I do, I know about him. They're like, oh, everyone doesn't like him because he wants to be nice to everybody, and they're like, stop it.
Yeah.
But
He just
was
shows up and he,
weird
like,
because he was the
starts-
first one or something.
Yeah, he was there however many thousand years ago, 100 years ago. Like he was one of the people that got kicked off the continent, and then they brought his soul back that many times. So now he's like, oh, actually, I vaguely remember all of this, and I'm back, baby. Let's go.
And they're like,
like-
go away.
Yeah, everybody else is like, no. Like Sabareth is just like, ew, bro, no. And he's just like, but I'm just this big guy. Ha 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 ha. I will rip your spine out. And it's like, ooh, wait a minute, what?
But like they have a good chance here with Orgoth being the new big bad. Like Orgoth being the big bad, they can do that story stuff. That they won't make me care tomorrow. They won't make me care in the next year. But like they can slow grow all that. That I will care by the time War Machine really hits its stride again.
Yeah, and I think there's a way to do it and do it such that like you're pulling people in and you can actually use the fluff to like help move things along.
Would you want to see Doug back?
Hamilton?
Seacat.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Like
which?
talking about the fluff.
Gotcha,
Well, no, I
gotcha.
mean, yeah, we all want Doug Hamilton back for his modeling. I meant because fluff-wise, Doug Seacat was, you know,
Oh yeah, he was
the
great.
go-to.
We had him on the podcast forever ago, and like, dude was just super nice and was super like, here, like he had an idea of like, this is how I want the story to go, and this is like where I see these characters, and like, it was super cool. And then just obviously never got the chance to do it. But like, yeah, if they could be like, oh yeah, we're bringing him back as like story director or something, like, I think you need that basically. Whether it's him or somebody else, I think you just need one person who's like, okay, this is our story guy. He's going to be like, obviously it's going to get run by the rest of us, so like the higher ups know what's going on and like can be okay with it. But like, here's the story aspect. Here's what we're trying to do. Here's what we're going to do. Like, questions.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be great. I always heard there was a thing of Doug having like a big binder of what he wanted to see story-wise for like the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Like real world years of War Machine.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, I just wonder, just give me like 2 hours with that binder.
I would do so many naughty things in that binder.
Hey, yo.
Hey, PG, that's why I asked that question. Are we doing like 80s PG or are we doing modern PG? Because that's
That makes sense.
completely different.
Whenever I see PG, I think perfect grade from Gundam, and I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Oh, no. Parental guidance. I know that, you know, you were probably watching rated R movies at like 3 years old because that happens.
I wasn't actually. I was actually very sheltered.
Were
That's
you?
Yeah,
That's not surprising.
I had to like ask permission to see PG-13 when I was 13.
We're not going to describe what I was watching.
Yeah, it sounds like you were the one who was watching Rated R at 3 years old.
Well, I mean, Die Hard, obviously. It's a Christmas movie. Everyone watches that at that age.
True, it is.
Our family's new tradition is going to be watching Lord of the Rings every Christmas.
Are you gonna
We do that at Thanksgiving.
Are you gonna explain how Viggo Mortensen broke his foot for real?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Didn't he kick something?
He kicked something too hard and it broke.
He kicked a helmet.
He kicked a helmet and actually broke his foot. And so that's or broke a toe. So like that scream you get where he's like upset that the hobbits are gone is actually him being like, I just broke my toe, shit.
Yeah.
Talk about raw emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Having broke a toe, I can tell you that it hurts a lot.
I believe you. Oh god, what was the other funny one? Oh god, I can't think of his name now.
A guy who wouldn't ride in helicopters, so he hiked to the shooting site every day?
No, that was also Viggo Mortensen. No, the guy who played Saruman.
Oh, the fact that he was SAS and actually did know some really sketchy stuff.
Yeah, so at one point, I can't think of his name, and I hate myself for it.
Peter Jack.
Nope.
You're not talking about the one where he asked him, he goes, like, act as if you just got stabbed in the back and you're
no, I'm talking about that. I can't, like, what was the actor's name?
Christopher...
Because it was Sir Christopher,
Hold on.
Yep.
I just blanked on it. Yeah,
Yep.
Oh, man. I can see his face. He's been in so much good stuff, too.
He was also Count Dooku. He was also... Dracula, like, oh god, what the hell is his name?
Yeah. Hold on.
Wait, Sauron was Count Dooku?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Christopher Lee.
Yes, Sir Christopher Lee.
I had to look it up. I was like, good.
At one point, yeah, Peter Jackson was like, okay, you need to do this, and you just got stabbed in the back, so this is how you should... Like,
sound.
this is how you should sound and how you should react, and he's just like, he stops and looks at him and goes... Peter, have you ever stabbed somebody in the back before? Like, do you know what that sounds like? And he's like, well, no, but it should sound like this. He goes, okay, I have stabbed many people in the back before, straight through the lungs. That's not what it sounds like.
He asked, did you want me to, like, a stabbing low, a lung, or, like, up above, right into the heart? And he's like, what? And he goes, well, it sounds more like this. And he was like, what? And he goes, well, I could tell you about this. And this is what they sound like, especially if they're Italian. And you're like, whoa,
Yep.
That's... SAS, don't play.
No.
Well, especially because, like, he did the special version of the SAS of the SAS. Did you ever hear about when he was trying to go somewhere and he was, like, tired, I guess? And he was like, oh, hey, there's an SAS headquarters here. And they're like, so what does that mean? He's like, I'm just going to go and, like, take a nap and visit. And they're like, they're not going to let you in. And he's like, yeah, I have this alumni card. And they're like, they're not going to. And he, like, walked up. He showed it to the gate. They let him in. He went and, like, sat down on the couch. They gave him, like, beer. I was like, holy cow.
Who is
like,
this guy?
Yeah, can you imagine? You're just like, so he's sketchy. Not sketchy, but, he did stuff.
He's gone through some shit.
Yeah. The fact that he did all of that stuff and then was like, you know what? I want to completely change my life. I'm going to go do theater.
Yeah. And then being that good at it.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, like the fact that he was a spy for a bit after the SAS.
Oh, I'm sure that helped.
All right. We are making...
So, Skyla's main color is magenta.
I dig it. People, okay, so despite the fact that, like, Shadowflame is supposed to be, like, this underground, like, very, like, stealthy, I've seen so many people just go, like, nah, I'm going the complete opposite with that. I want nothing but bright-ass colors.
Well,
it's like,
I was explaining my colors, and then they're like, well, they're from the ground, though. How are you going to do that? I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, no. Think about, like, when you go under the ocean, like deep under the ocean where there's no light and you have beautiful bioluminescence. And there's even thoughts about like deep caves and you have bioluminescence. That's where my thought comes to with that. Like, that's why I totally like your idea. I know you got a lot of, not a lot, there were a few people that really hated your color scheme, but I liked it.
Oh, when I painted my Chimera like ages ago?
Yeah, when they were super bright.
Yeah, they did.
I like bright colors. Like, I might not paint my men out that way, but that's just because that's not what
I understand.
Wow.
Shots fired.
Yeah, paint your gravediggers that way. I dare you.
I already have my color scheme for my gravediggers.
You don't have. Do you have the gravediggers models yet? Because I don't, so I can still change it.
So, you know my tism. Once I've decided on something, it doesn't change.
You know
it doesn't change for 20 years. And, you know, we can all laugh about that, but we all know it's true.
Yeah. At least you weren't called out by Spen to do non-metallic metal for the entire army. And I'm like, please no.
Dude, I'm going to vote for that. I'm not even going to vote for my suggestion. I'm voting for his. I saw that. I was like, I got to love that.
I'm going to die.
Well, you know, then you'll finally actually, you know,
I'll actually do
show that you're a real
metal.
painter.
That's true.
No, you'll.
True.
By the way, to everyone out there, I know he's a good painter. It's just an inside joke between him and I, and him not being a real painter.
Well, it's going to be funny because, like, there's no way I'm finishing a non-metallic army by myself. So whatever gets voted for, Ross also has to do.
Oh, poor Ross. Don't do that to him. Ross is an angel.
I like
I
how
love
you're
Mighty Mouse.
I like how you're totally cool doing this to Ice King, but somebody else has to do it. No, I can't do that. That's too mean.
Well, like, AJ is not going to do that because he's like, nah, heck that. AJ's Mighty Mouse. Ross is...
AJ's Mighty Mouse? I thought it was Ross. I was like,
no,
I don't know how Ross
Ross is Krugafigi.
Oh, that makes sense.
I don't understand what's happening right now, but sure.
They're nicknames.
Thank you. I got that.
You said you didn't get it. I wanted to make sure I explained it out to you.
I was able to pick that up. Thank you, Professor. You fucking nerd.
See, when I look at these younger kids and they're confused, I find I need to help them out.
There's so many things I want to say here, and so many of them I'm not allowed to on stream.
See, that's the thing. Also, you know, I figured I would get the old man joke in first before Ice King hopped in and started saying them.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I mean, he's like 12. He's allowed to say them.
He is.
True.
I remember when I was that old in the 80s.
Okay, so I was saying earlier, like, oh yeah, it was high school, which was 20 years ago. Ugh.
Yeah, you said that, and I was like, huh, oh no.
Like, I did not like thinking about that for
I
even
think
a
my
minute.
high school's 10-year reunion is this summer.
You said 10?
Yeah.
Oh, part of me died inside.
I graduated 2015, baby.
You bastards.
I was getting out of the army at that point in time.
Oh, I enlisted 2020, peak COVID.
Oh, part of me is dead.
I mean, yeah, you joined the army. That's why.
Well, that also correct. Shoot, I can't find my dark silver. Well, you know what? You're gonna be bronze.
Someone did give me the good idea for gravediggers. I told it to Wolfe earlier. It was like a copper, like true metallic metal copper, and then like a green, like a yellowy green glow. And I was like, oh,
not a bad idea.
Yeah, I like it.
Especially if you're gonna speed paint them.
Well, true metallic metals, I can do sponges and use like streak and grime to make them grimdark.
Mm-hmm. I thought the BDU idea was gonna be pretty good.
Yeah,
but
that would have
like
been
in
cool.
90s colors.
But it's not up to me. It's going to be up to the War Machine community as a whole.
I just realized something. I'm dumb.
Well, I mean, okay.
Yeah, we knew that.
So here I am, speed painting Skyla. Guess what's off? My camera. I didn't record it for the channel.
Oh.
Feels problematic.
If it's like I said, you just talk them through that step you missed. Be like, I forgot to record. Whoopsies.
I'm a big dummy and I didn't do this right. I'm gonna fix it now.
Yeah. Okay.
Or if you, I know you're saying they're all gonna be painted the same. Just throw another clip in from someone else. And then.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I know.
I still need to set up the camera though and start recording because I'm doing it faster and cutting in and out for clips. I don't have to worry about audio overlay.
Definitely makes it easier.
Well, I'm trying to. Oh, so I didn't tell you this. I told Ice King I was recording and I was editing and it was all set and I imported all the files and I started editing and then it was like, hey, please make a purchase. And I was like, I don't want to purchase this. I want to just do it. And I had saved and exported the file, so I didn't have the raw files anymore. And it put a watermark straight through diagonally through my video files. And I was like,
wow.
Ouch.
And I was just, so I'm trying to go through and see if there's any way. I was asking one of my buddy who suggested it to me. Is there any way to
remove
get this out? And he's like, well, you could pay the $150 a year. I was like, that's not happening.
That's not.
Like,
okay.
Services are scams. Change my mind.
I agree 100%.
Is there another way to get rid of it? Because that is technically a way, but also it's a terrible way. So how about actual suggestions? Thank you.
So what I can do is I can go into what turned out to be a little bit less than 10 hours of raw footage, recut it with a different software, this time DaVinci, and redo everything from scratch.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yep.
Happens.
That's a thing. And then learn that all of these paid services, are just the devil.
Well, yeah.
An accurate statement.
I don't. If I don't have to have a subscription service or a subscription to things, I do not.
All right,
Let me
start my recording. Okay, and I'm just gonna continue on with the bronze and be like, I screwed up this painting for pink because I'm dumb.
Yep, that's all you gotta do.
You just gotta be like, I was a big dummy dumbhead and I messed this up, and you should all feel bad for me, and then just move on. Explain no further.
Yeah.
The Dreadguard have a lot more armor than the Dreadguard Slayers.
Well, yeah.
Oh, dude, this bronze, thank goodness I couldn't find dark silver. This bronze looks beautiful with magenta.
Boom.
See, it was all
happy little accident.
I'm gonna bop her.
Actually, yeah, no, I was gonna say, actually, Ice King and I were talking the other day about, like, never repaint. Because I was like, I just want to strip this and redo it. And he's like, don't do it. Don't do it. And I was like, but I screwed up. And he's like, don't do it.
If you screwed up, I paint the next model better.
I've done that.
Well,
excuse me. So many times.
I mean, yes, but now I'm gonna actually continue with that method, and also with the ethos of the new channel on being, the enemy of good is perfect, and just trying to teach people how to paint quickly, efficiently, and make it tabletop. I need to live by that my own standard.
I mean, you don't have to.
You should.
Well, I mean, I could be a hypocrite, but I don't want to be.
It's never stopped anybody else.
I'm not pointing fingers.
Not calling anybody in particular out, just saying in general.
Definitely not calling out Ice King right now.
Never.
What did I do?
Yeah, why would I do
I don't
that?
know, I was just messing with you, man.
I was like, what the fuck did I just do?
Seeing if you're still paying attention to what we're talking about, or if you're just focused on your painting.
He's been nothing but nice to me. I would never do that to him.
Oh, no, I mean, first off, he is amazing.
He's a sweetie.
He is an officer and a gentleman.
I'm definitely not an officer. Don't put me in with those kind of people.
Luckily, they don't listen to your chat, so they can't hear you if you make jokes about them.
You're gonna get called in one day by like some E5 just going, so what the fuck is this? And you're gonna be
I am the E5. Hang on.
You mean 05.
Okay,
I mean, like
whatever.
05, not E5.
Whatever. I don't.
It's
Fine.
okay.
It's okay.
I was never in the military, so I don't know.
That's why we're here to help you educate. It's okay.
He's like, I didn't military. He's like, I actually had a plan.
That's
let's not
true.
get carried. Let's not get carried away here.
All my
just need to
plans
know-
crumbled, so I enlisted.
I just need to know: is the E5 Mafia a real thing?
The E4,
E4
Mafia.
Mafia, absolutely.
E4 Mafia is a
Listen,
100% real thing.
It is one in all of the services, and sometimes they communicate in between.
Nice. I just need to make sure.
Oh no, it is. Like, there's a reason that is a joke. It is 100%.
What is it? When I made E5, my boss goes, "Hey, congratulations on making E5. Yesterday was the greatest day of your life. Now it's all downhill from here."
It's true. Except for when you make E6 and then E7 and then E8, because then you're like, oh, it just gets worse.
I don't want to ever make E8. I don't think I ever will.
You know, when we go to World War III and then
we're not getting into World War
First
talk.
War
We're cutting
against
this
the
right now.
Cybart.
Nope. Stop. We're not doing that.
So, how about that team league where I was like, hey, you know what? The one thing you guys should keep me out of is Scorn, and I think I'm okay with everything else. And then they immediately put me into Scorn.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, I think
Pricer, if you're listening to this, I know it's not your fault. I still 100% blame you.
Let's
How could
just
you do this to me?
if this is gonna go better, if we don't run into if a team, as long as they don't have Infernals and Scorn, because we have our Scorn and or Infernals drop.
Wait, Wolf, are you on his team?
Yes,
Oh, I didn't realize that.
for ATC, yeah.
I didn't realize.
I'm gonna do what I did at Sussy, which is to say, win one game that I absolutely didn't need to win and get carried gold by everybody else.
Hey, that's the best way. Being like the anchor man sometimes, like the almost guaranteed loss, and then you do pull a win because sometimes you just get lucky, and then the entire team's like, yay! And you're like, thank God. I just didn't want to lose all of these.
I made the joke because it was like, okay, so at Sussy it was like, okay, I can win this game, lost. Okay, I can win this game, lost. I can win this game, lost. And at this point, it's like, the team is 3-0, and I'm 0-3, so I'm just getting absolutely carried. We get into the final round, I get into Justin Dew, and I actually beat him, and I was like, fuck yeah, look at me go. And then the two other people on my team were like, yeah, we both won our games too, and I'm like, literally could have just stayed home. You could have put a cardboard cutout of me standing here, and the result would have been the exact same. It's terrible. Hate every part of this.
I liked when I was able to help my team even with a loss by making sure that I scored victory points and kill points. So even though, because like, let's say for example, like at, higher level, like WTC where you have 5 people, if you have 4 people who win, but they're really, really close, but your 5th person loses, but he gets a crazy amount of kill points and victory points, you can bump out of your bracket.
So,
or put yourself, go ahead.
So I was gonna say, so yes, that's true. It didn't matter in this scenario for the very simple reason of Akers and Cody played at one point, and their game ended bottom of 7, like 37-36 in control points. So like, he scored all of the control points that we needed for that entire, like in that one game, he scored as many control points as entire teams did for the entire event. So like, it didn't even matter.
Well, I mean, but it's the 2 of them playing. Like, if those games don't go like that, I would be disappointed. Like, I used to love sitting back and watching those. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, sometimes, like, losing or winning top of 2 or bottom of 2 was whatever, because you could go get a beer. But then you could go watch the really, really good players, and you're just like, oh, this is amazing, while you're drinking your beer.
I don't know. I always enjoyed top of 2ing people and being like, all right, cool. My game is over, because I'm super good at this, and now I'm going to go sit down and get a snack.
Yeah.
Like, I say this, but nobody like actually lets me do that anymore, and it's super disappointing. Like every time I go on the Discord, and I'm like, oh, here's a game I'm playing. It's like turn 2, and I have 6 people immediately be like, what do you mean the game is still going? It's top of 2. What are you even doing?
Where are you playing wrong?
Yeah, I'm like, nobody lets me assassinate them anymore. Also, it's way harder to do in Chimera than it ever was in Legion. It's nonsense.
How dare they?
I mean, we'll see how it goes with Valley. Dude, I'm so happy, by the way. You didn't hear, like, obviously you guys couldn't hear me, but I cheered in my kitchen hearing you talk in Valley speak after typing it out. And I was like, he's not gonna fall for this. And like
Falls for it.
The kids were like, Dad, why are you so happy? I was like, you don't understand. I just trolled someone via chat on the internet live. And they're like, I don't know what that means. I was like, you will eventually.
You will learn one day. You are my child. You will learn.
Yeah, it's glorious. I don't know what that says about me as a person. Probably not great, but
Because you're a funny
I
guy. and that's
laughed
what
and
matters.
cackled. So as for Bocor, I would like to, but I don't know if that's going to happen because of, like you said, work and life, and
Yeah,
I would like to continue to be married.
Have you considered not being married?
Yeah. Did you just consider the biggest mistake in your life and like reverting that?
Ooh,
Ooh.
luckily she's not gonna be listening to this.
Neither is
Fine.
mine, so I'm fine.
Okay, checking to make sure my headphones still work. Yeah, they do. Okay, we're good.
Making sure my head's still attached.
Man, I am so happy this bronze is turning out so well. Like, you know, like, oh, this is going to suck. And then you look and you're like, oh, this looks amazing.
Yeah, me painting my entire Dusk army.
Well, I mean, somebody's got to
Yeah.
be excited about third place. I'm glad it's you.
Well, I mean, I am painting, you know, to make them look beautiful. And, you know, the funny thing is my son is going to crush me with Chimera, which is just the saddest point in the world.
No, that's how that should go.
Yeah, he's like
No,
Gohan.
no.
He's supposed to be stronger than you.
So here's this is like when I was playing the North American League, and people were like, "You need to give up Menoth and play your son's Chimera. You'll do a lot better." And I was like, I'm still beating you, just not by a lot." And then I was like, I thought about it. I was like, I really would crush the shit out of people with Chimera. Damn it.
Hashtag best faction.
Oh, dude. Between Valley and, well, like Valley and any of the other Warcasters, oh, it's gonna be so much fun.
I don't actually think he's that good.
Really?
Yeah.
For like assassination? Well, not him
Which is disappointing
specifically.
to say, but yeah.
Wow. So you're not going to use him as a pairing, or her, or whatever.
I
Whatever
don't.
it is.
I don't know.
Screw
I'm struggling to try and build a list for them right now because what is this even doing?
What is it doing that other lists aren't also doing? And or
Like,
possibly better.
Like the feet
Allowing
is super dope.
those shades. Well, the thing is it's just between the shades and the feet, but not necessarily the feet attacking or adjusting the shades, but the feet. God, I just really did screw that up.
Yeah, very.
No, I put bronze on top of wet pink, and it
Oh.
looks ugly.
That's a choice.
Yeah, that's a choice. No, just the allowing for all the different people who have critical effects in your army. And I say your army even though I'm actively painting them. But the options that's going to give you, even if it's only for one turn, but those options are going to be huge. So you're going to be able to, if not necessarily get the assassination, it's going to affect how much your attrition rate for that turn is, because you're going to take off so much stuff. And
So
If
here's-
they give you things to take.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing, and this is what I keep having to go in my head over. All of that is true if it worked that way, and it doesn't, because most of the crit effects that we have are crit knockdown, which is fine. Like, pop and drop exists for a reason.
As a Krios player, I can definitely tell you that is a very effective strategy.
It's crit knockdown. There's occasionally crit bind or crit shadow bind, which, again, both fine. Map fixers galore.
Crit weaken.
Crit weaken on one model who has to get in melee, or crit AP on one model that has to get in melee, and the threat range on both of those models is 10 inches. And Valix does not bring anything to help get them there faster. So, not only...
But you guys don't have a speed enhancer?
Not on
I thought you guys had...
There's Hunter's Mark, and that's it. So you can get to 10 to 12. That's the only thing he brings, and that's a 10-point thing to bring, and you still need to hit with it.
What about... I thought you guys had... I'm blanking on it. One of the spell racks. I thought it was one of them was the +1 inch.
Dash.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's for
So then,
warrior
Oh.
models, not beast,
that's,
right?
that's warrior models.
Yeah.
So like, okay, yeah, your weakened guy. If he hits with his Mat 7, and if he hits, he gets the crit. But like, he still needs to actually hit. Like, then yes, he threats what 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 max.
All right. I just feel like
And that
maybe
that is
because
the,
I'm looking at them on paper, I feel
That-
like it's gonna be good.
that's the problem I keep running into. Is like the Armor Pierce Hydrix will absolutely melt anything it touches, right? Because it's POW 16 AP that turn, which means with the ubiquitous damage buffs we have, it is very easy to get that to POW 20, and like a feated Garlgast, it just 1 rounds. It does not care,
Yeah.
and still has Fury left over. Which super great, absolutely murders that one thing. It only threats 10, can go up to 12, which means if you have an opponent with a brain who just says, oh, until you feat, I'm just not going to put this within 12 of you, or because I out-threat you, I'm going to put it at 12.1 and say either you have to back up or I'm going to take this thing off the table before you can feat.
Yes, that is true.
Like,
Wait,
and-
is the Hydrix is only? I thought it picked up +1 speed with its body,
uh-huh.
and then it also picked up +1 on that head.
Nope, it picked up +1 on the main head. The side heads are still all unhinged.
Oh, that's not good. I thought all of them went from reach 1 to reach 2.
Nope, the main head did. And like the main head has sustained, so like you can still just be like, oh, here's auto hitting POW 18s to what, +6 easily, so 24.
Yeah.
Like, which is fine, but like it still like what, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's 11, 13 max?
And if you have 2 of them, you're... I don't know. We'll see.
That's the problem I keep running into, is like his entire kit with the sprint spell and basically everything on the rack says you should take a bunch of beasts. Right? That's how it feels like you should be building him. And like, that's fine because like, again, Vipexes have crit paralysis, which means it's just paralysis that turn. That's super good. You have armor pierce, you have sustained, you have other like sweet crit effects on the beasts that will do a bunch. It's just that like then you're not taking the infantry that gives you all the knockdown, so you make sure you're hitting. You're not taking the stuff that says I shadowbind you to make sure you're hitting. And like it ends up being like, it feels like he wants to go super beast heavy. And what ends up happening is you have to throw some infantry in there to get like the full benefit, but like he's not actually doing anything for them. And every time I look at it, it's like I don't actually know how a list with this is supposed to go. Like, what is actually the build supposed to look like to like get the most out of this?
Well,
And-
I remember SFG said that they wanted, or their design space was blended for everything. So maybe they want you to be blended.
Which is
They don't want you
fine.
to just go straight beast.
Which that's fine, but like again, what does the list actually look like to do that? What do you have to give up to make that work? And then how does that compare to the things that like he's basically fighting for that slot for? Because like his competition for a slot right now is, or for what it seems like you want to build him for, is fighting with like Rassic and Kyrax. And it's like, look, both of them have inbuilt delivery mechanics. With Kyrax just threatening the world with infantry, and Rassic giving things +2 armor.
Yeah.
If he's fighting with Nixian, who just got a big buff from the stuff just existing, like, okay, he's bringing, this dope cloud wall on top of a bunch of responsive tools and just a huge toolbox worth of stuff. Like, how does that compete? And I think you're gonna see, short term, you're gonna see people trying him.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ice King,
Yeah,
you clicked on the wrong part of Discord again.
I sure did.
like, I think you're gonna have people trying him, and I think that is totally valid, and you should try him. I'm probably gonna try him after ATC, just to, like, see if I can't get a better handle on what he's doing, and maybe, like, figure out if I'm missing something. But, like, I look at him on paper and go, he looks dope, and the feat looks super strong. But
Hey, Ice King, you're still on a private. There you go.
It takes a second.
Yeah,
Okay.
for what he's competing with for a slot, like, I don't know that he's going to boot anything else out of that slot. And I think maybe you'll see him in, like, team events, because there's the inherent, like, ability to dodge stuff and, like, you know, kind of pick your matchups a little bit better, and maybe that'll be fine then. But, like, I think if you're looking at him, like, in terms of, like, oh, is he gonna, like, where is he gonna show up in singles events? Where is he gonna show up in, like, IGs? Where is he gonna show up, like, I don't think
he's going to
he's...
show up in singles, but I think like in a WTC, in a ATC, I think he's definitely going to have some good playability.
Has some options.
Maybe. I think so. It's just a matter of, like, where does he fit in with the team, and then, like, what can you not go into if he's there? Because there's going to be the
What's your
inherent,
opinion
like,
on
dodges. Kind of similar in that, like, I think she's better. I think she's absolutely, like, if you drop her in the mirror, like, it's your game to lose. Like, she absolutely fucks the mirror.
Yeah.
But, like, I think that she has a lot of the same, like, I want to play in a bunch of the games that Sheris does, and the nice thing about her is I think you can build her to, like, or build a pair if you want to run her, to be like, oh, okay, you're gonna take care of all of these things that, like, normally, like, Sheris would drop into, but, like, except for this one or two, so you just build your off list to deal with that. I think she's got a lot more playability there, but, like, I think the pair is going to be different with her in it than it would be if it was not her, but, like, she's going to want to cover a lot of the things that, like, Sheris naturally sees. So I think she is better, and I think you will absolutely see her. I think she has a place in singles. It's just going to be... He is not an all-comers. Like, you can't take her as... You can't
you think
take
it's gonna be her and
Sorry, go
Rasik, or do you think it's her and Kajak, or Kajak, or whatever the...
I think
Bad guy.
I think it could be either. I think both of them are good right now. I've seen a couple people try to pair her with Sheris. I don't like that, but, like, maybe it's all right. I might be downplaying it a bit more than I should. But that one feels like it has some
Holes.
very generic weaknesses in it. So, like, it's maybe more doable than I'm giving it credit for, but it doesn't feel like it.
I wouldn't do the two of them together. One of the things I do at night when I'm trying to get my daughter to go to sleep, my 3-year-old, and she just wants to, like, be snuggled and held, is I just pull up my app and I start making lists and looking at different, not only in, like, Menoth, but I look at Signar, I look at Dusk, and I look at Chimera. And I just go over them over and over and over again while I'm, like, holding her and trying to get her to fall asleep. So I might not get a lot of actual play with them, but then also listening to you guys or watching the North American League and listening to it. Well, so I agree with you there. I don't think I would put her with
Sheris.
Yeah,
Serious.
I think there's playability there. I think Lilith's more playable, but, like, again, she's one where at least the list feels like you build it and it at least makes sense. Like, I can look at her and be like, oh, okay, so, like, she wants to take advantage of run and gun as just, like, a passive ability, and, like, she wants to not necessarily run a ton of range stuff, but, like, she wants to have some ranged elements in her battle group, and then, like, the units want to be more tanky things like knights that can just kind of sit on scenario while her, you know, all the guns do work. Like, okay, this is a list archetype that makes sense to me. And, like, Slipstream helps the threat ranges, you can still take Hunter's Mark if you need it, she can still take Dash, like, there's ways to speed things up.
You know, earlier in the stream, you guys were talking about, I just blanked on it. We had it in Mark II, where you had to use your list.
Divide and
couldn't
Conquer.
Divide and Conquer. I don't know if you remember this from Mark 2, where you would like maybe hold your more powerful list in reserve in case you got a better pairing. Like first matching, you would go with whatever's the most powerful. But second, you might not necessarily play your second directly in a row, or play your first list like second in a row because you're like, shoot, I might need this for my third game. And I used to like that because it forced people to get really good with both lists compared to someone was just like, oh, whatever, I'm not going to really have to worry about this unless it's just this tiny little example. But they had to make sure they were better with both lists, and also the variety of lists was so much better.
Well, the other thing you saw, and I mean, I remember talking to people and being in events where this happened, but you'd get to like the final round of an event, and people one listed all day, and like both people did, and they'd both be like, well, guess we both just have to play our off list, and neither one of us likes this because like...
Oh yeah. No, dude, it was a thing. Like you'd be at top table, and you'd be watching people at top table, and you're like, why? And you're like, oh no.
Yeah. The amount of games I watched where it'd be like, you'd get like Riot versus Doomshaper, and it's like, why is this the match? And it'd be like, oh, because they both played, Vale 1 and whoever all day. So like, they can't play them anymore, so guess this is the final round.
Did you notice on the cats, Wolf, that they actually have paws? Like little beans?
Yeah,
beans?
they got little toe beans. Yeah, they do.
They got beans?
They got beans. Let me see if I can get them on camera. Hang on.
Hold on, let me switch away from OBS real quick so I can see.
Cats are bringing the beans.
Oh, they do have the beans.
Kind of hard to tell because I'm just painted them black, but they are there.
Yeah, you should do those things pink.
I
Use some
will.
magenta.
You think I won't?
Yeah, you won't. You're not gonna do it.
He's calling you out.
I don't think he is because I'm gonna do it. Like it's not a call out. I will paint things. I'm going to do it.
I don't know. It feels like you're getting called out right now.
All right, I'll call out. He can call me out all he wants. I'm gonna do it.
He is.
I'm painting the cat black, and then I'm gonna glaze up layers of purple, and that's how I'm gonna do the skin.
Nope.
So it'll be a very.
So I did
a very faint
the
black.
magenta on this, and I can't wait to do a little bit of purple over it, for as like to do like a little bit of a wash that I'm gonna make myself. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be bright and happy. People are gonna be like, "Why?" I'm like, "Cause it's a happy little beast."
Skylar's just a good girl.
Yeah, she is.
Skyla is. She's a pretty girl too. I don't know if I told you, I actually bought a Hydrix specifically so I could glue it, so I could put more time and effort into it, and then here I am. So I'm like speed painting it, but I'm still putting work. But yeah, I specifically bought a Hydrix and Skyla because originally when I was buying stuff for my son's army, for him to be like faction complete, I didn't buy Skyla because I was like,
Well, at first she was.
I don't really.
Yeah, she was back.
And you had to buy the kit separately. She didn't come in a box. And then they changed everything up. And then I was like, well, I already have everything else. I don't want to buy all this. So I ended up spending probably like 30 or 40 bucks for what used to be an $8 upgrade kit. And that's why I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well go and get a Hydrix, like the Hydrix body. And I think I got the alternate body. It's slightly different. And I'm painting it just like that. And then I even 3D printed the base.
Nice.
Very nice.
Oh, actually, I'm trying to think. Your prints, by the way, or one of your prints should be done, so I can print your next carrier or holder.
Yeah, I need 6 of them. So.
I know. You need 4 and 2 is what you told me.
4 and 2. I need more paint holders because I have lots of paint.
Yeah,
what happens when you're a professional with this?
I don't know if I'm professional. Like, I don't know if that's the word I'd use, but thank you.
I mean, you're professional, but not good at it, so it's fine.
Damn. Thanks.
I don't know if I'm allowed to make jokes like that, but
That's fine.
here I am.
Shit.
Well, I think it's if you can make jokes to him, to his face, it's okay. It's when you're making them, when he's not around, that's when it gets awkward.
Oh, I'm worse in person, so that'll be easy.
I've seen you in person. You were just fine in person too. I don't care.
I don't think I've met you in person yet. Unless, well, I might have met you in the Mark II days.
Well, that's why I was asking if you're gonna do bow core, Alec.
I want to. Again, it just depends on life. Also, if the VA would pull their head out of their butt and adjust my number, that would affect things a lot.
It's not how that works.
My buddy just got 100%.
Yeah. I would love if they did that, but they're like, oh, you are broken with this, but can you definitely show it's service connected? And I'm like, I was always told don't go to sick call because otherwise you're a blank.
Yeah, it's almost like they tell you that for this reason.
Well, they actually, so the reason they tell you that is because they want to use you until you're broken, and then they just assume that you'll get taken care of on the way out because they're not taken care of, or they haven't, had to deal with it yet. And that's just the assumption, because that's when we joined in like the early 2000s. It was like, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of you if we break you. And then none of them, all the people who made those promises had not gotten out yet. So they might have been saying that in good faith. And then things changed.
Yep.
And it is what it is. So now here I'm in my mid 40s and
broken.
Bad knees, bad back. Yeah. But I have faith. I have faith. Eventually this is all going to get sorted out.
Well, let me know how that works out for you. We have a dual caster steamroller coming up out of Dusk and New Cricks. What do you think is the most abusable pair? I mean, Moraine plus... my immediate response is Moraine plus Nyx... Not Nyxian. Nicaine. I'm gonna take all your upkeeps. I'm gonna march...
Did I miss something?
Yeah, it's in chat.
Oh, I don't have that chat message. What? Oh, it's not showed up on my other thing. It's weird. It's not on my tablet, but I see it. But yeah, Moraine, because mortality is a thing.
Yeah, you mortality, and then Nicaine feats and says...
That's gone.
I'm gonna drop Calamity on you, which is now Magic 8, because mortality hit first. You don't have any defensive buffs, and also here's a shit ton of venoms. Get wrecked, idiot.
Yep.
Like, you just get to murder the world. Two casters, same 75-point army. Oh, same faction.
Same faction.
I mean, if you can double feat, I still think it's probably Dusk at that point. I feel like Moraine, Heleth, probably.
Jesus.
Again,
Moraine,
take all your
Heleth, like 75 points. You have two casters at 75 points.
mortality plus feat. Let's go, boys. Kill the world.
That's kind of they're dead.
Dude, Discord crashed. I was like, why is it so quiet? I couldn't hear anyone. I was like, where are you guys? And then I switched out of OBS to switch back, and I was like, oh, well, that's why I don't hear anyone.
We'll do it.
It's okay. I almost want to go back and listen to my recording and just be like, guys, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, Bueller.
I get that reference.
I'm glad you do. I know King doesn't.
Sure don't. I know it's from Ferris Bueller's Days Off.
Hey!
Yeah, it's Ben Stein.
I've never seen the movie. I just know of it.
Oh my. Oh, you.
At least I know the movie.
Thank you.
That's better than I've been doing in the past with you guys' references. I know of it.
See, there you go. We're
Yeah,
getting there.
I'm glad.
Small steps in the right direction.
Yeah, just a little bit. All right, let me
Not
get back to
painting
my
entirely under
OBS.
the cat, 'cause you can't see under the cat, so there's no need.
Yeah, but what if you
Man,
want
there's
to
so many jokes I want to go, and I realize that we're streaming, and I can't make those jokes.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna reload my tab.
And there's
You gotta get the undercat. It's an important part of
There
cat.
it is.
Oh,
Now I
no,
see your
it was-
messages.
it was a complete different thing that I was gonna say, and I was like, oh, don't say that.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Two casters 75 for Dusk.
It's Marine and Health, right?
Yeah. What are your
Wait,
other-
who's doing 75 points?
Got
Oh,
Because honestly, like, I don't hate Helith Hazaroth. Depending on what you're playing into.
sure, but what's
Because
really
you can
abusable
meet
there?
Mountain. One now have to hit defense 15, arm 18, and then they have to stay alive.
Sure, I mean that's just. Congrats, you got to be 2 casters and feet, and you got to basically play into Makeda for a turn. Like, meh.
Yeah, but I think the more effective is like probably Helith Moraine or Moraine Tyrus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, give Marine an
Wait,
extra
she would
which is a
threat
threat. She
18.
murders the world.
She would threat 18 on feet turn.
Yep.
Oh boy. Oh, and then you have access to Stranglehold
Mm-hmm.
because you're taking dices.
so to get back to a little thing, do you remember just when we were talking about Divide and Conquer, do you remember when I think it wasn't Lilith, it was someone who had to go up against Sevi 2 because both people had been playing their on list the whole time, and then top table was like, instead of being Fiora, it was Sevi 2.
I don't, but like I would vaguely remember several scenarios like that happening.
It always used to be humorous when it happened because you'd be like, oh, that's interesting. I really wish they'd bring that back now that you mentioned it.
I also remember watching Captain Con streams where somebody would go, oh, I'm just gonna, or Kingdom Con streams where it'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go here, and watching somebody be like, you can't go there, like like, I'm gonna shoot you. Oh, you can't shot me. And they start doing the math like, yeah, you did move forward like an extra inch and a half because, like, you're right, I shouldn't be able to reach you otherwise. Okay, so back him up. And then, like, 2 turns later, like, nothing had actually attacked, but scenario was like, 1-0, and somebody just staring at the table being like, yeah, like, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna do this, you're gonna score 2, and, I guess I just lose.
Well, so I really like
Or they just, like, shake
the
on it.
aspect of War Machine, where like people are good sports and they're like, oh hey, I'm not gonna be a blank bag, and it's like so it's one of the things that Ice King and I've talked about, that I would much rather play someone at their best than play them at their worst.
Yeah, it was more, I guess this was more of a commentary on like the old first to 5 wins.
Oh
And
yeah.
you could just position in such a way where like the other person could look at the table and go, okay, I'm going to be able to get to here, but like even if I get to here, you've positioned in such a way where you're almost guaranteed to get charges on these things, and if you kill them, you just score and I lose. So like,
Oh, do you
people
remember when
would stare at the
Go ahead.
table and just like, it's like, oh, it's not, the game isn't over right now, but like the game will 100% be over in 2 turns, and there's nothing I can do about it. So they just like shake on it, and be like, okay, good game.
Wolfe,
I
what
remember
time do you gotta
Steelheads going like Meat
Someone
Mountain
should
and
do
doing that,
Mm-hmm.
locking people out.
Yep. Magnus just being
Yeah.
like, okay. You literally can't get into scenario, I win.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, but like at least people were like respectful. It wasn't like you didn't see a lot of super angry gloating.
He's like, yeah, I
Okay.
kind of did.
Okay, I mean, I feel like when I was in that type of situation, like, because there were definitely times I was on the back end of it, the bottom side, and I was just like, hey, you know what? Like, you brought a better list. You played better turn 1, turn 2, and that's okay. Like, we're here to play and have fun.
I remember watching people lose their minds over like Magnus 2, over Haley 2, just being like, oh, so what do you mean, like, I just get like, you did nothing, you feeded, I just get time walked and now I lose.
Yeah, dude, Haley was, oh god, was she frustrating.
Yep.
Oh.
Signar players need to pay for the sins of Haley 2 still.
So even though I've never played Signar before, the fact that I am buying into Gravediggers, I have to pay for the pain
Yeah, you do.
of
You have to pay for the sins of Haley 2.
even though I had to deal with the pain and the hatred of
that
Saley.
sucks. But now you turn coat. So
Yeah, it's true. You've joined the
No,
Swans.
I'm taking all of the
don't make excuses.
the Signar swans off of my people, and I'm putting green stuff over it, and then I'm doing Menofix.
So here's the thing.
So all of my gravediggers are Menites.
So here's
They
the
can
thing.
fluff-wise.
In our heart of hearts, we're all gonna know that those are still swans, and therefore you need to pay for the sins of the swans.
Oh. No, they're not.
They're
Hey, on the app, what button do you hit? Signar Gravediggers? Oh.
Oh,
Boom.
so evil. So evil.
What time do you gotta bounce?
We're at probably another 5-10 minutes.
Cool.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, I got 15 more, and then I have to go because I have to go pick up the food from my food pickup.
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna finish the
My
The
tumble
first
is
layer of-
rolling, so I'm like when's
fighting
lunch?
on this guy. Yeah, I mean you can cut it here
Haven't
if
you
you want.
already
that's
had
fine.
like 11:30, right?
It's 12:55. It's
No, I meant shouldn't have. Oh, I guess you were going. I was thinking about that. Like I was cooking and making lunch for the family and
well, I was
all that
painting.
stuff.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
out here working hard.
Yeah, it's true. I was here too. I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're working hard for your money.
The money I don't get, yeah.
Got to keep his clothes on this time.
Hey,
I did take off a hoodie. That was it.
there
That
you
was
go.
that was enough.
See, okay, we're going back to 80s PG.
Yeah, I should probably
Ah.
go get breakfast before I have to go to the doctors and shit. So
Probably. I had
I
a
hope your
delicious
doctor's appointment
muffin
goes
for
well, man.
breakfast.
it'll be fine. It's just a whatchamacallit, like a
Check up.
oh my god. No, back up from my back surgery, so it'll probably be fine.
They always get mad at me. They're like, "You've been doing too much," and I'm like, "You don't know what you're talking about."
Well, I mean, they're right. That's why you need
Shut
to stop
up.
fighting washing machines.
You don't know what you're talking about. Now you sound like my doctor and my wife.
I feel like somebody
Crazy.
there probably knows what they're talking about. Maybe not everybody, but at least one of them.
Yeah, me.
I strong like bull.
Not yet. Getting there. That would require 4 Lizzos.
Which would, dude? Oh my god, that Lizzo joke. Oh, that was priceless.
Uh,
So you don't
Was priceless.
you don't want to be strong like Bull. You want to be strong like upset Russian lady.
Didn't you ever hear the joke about like Navy SEALs picking up logs and they're doing it for training, whereas the babushka is going and lifting up log because she needs firewood so she doesn't die in the spring when it's still cold.
Yep.
This guy's gonna be. He's like 40 minutes from being done. He's actually super easy to paint, which I like.
There you go.
I mean, it's not up to your level, but it's gonna be up to like my channel's level of, hey, let's get it done, let's get you painted, let's move
What-
on to your next thing so you can actually learn how to play.
Say,
Or not
what,
learn how to
what,
play, but play better.
what do you mean? What not up to my level? You don't even know what my level is.
I've seen your painting. Your painting is beautiful.
It's
You're
fine.
basically on like, Ice King level. I just want to see when they hand you the golden brush and they go, congratulations.
Yeah, it's not happening anytime soon.
I gotta see if I have space to bring the Garl gas to the paint competition.
Dude,
I'm-
it's so good.
I'm probably gonna bring Nisak just because I'm like, she's the last thing I did, and she looks pretty
Problem
good. So
with
let's
the
try it.
Garl gas and paint competitions, it'll never win anything because it's not painted like a mini.
I think it's painted beautifully.
I mean, it's painted cool. I like the way it turned out, but it's not painted like a mini. And when people judge mini competitions, they're not like, oh, this looks cool. They're like, is this a good painted mini?
The
No, I think about some of them where they try to make it look as realistic as possible when they do like the diorama in the background and all of that.
the last
It's not, is it a good? Go ahead.
I was gonna say the last competition I entered, I did Dracodile, and I made it try to be as like realistic as I could. And the one piece of criticism I got, because I ended up getting like 3rd place, was like, oh, it looks great, and it's definitely a lot of texture, and it's very what a realistic big monster would look like. But like to compete with these other things, you need to go like bright crazy colors, and I'm just like, Okay, but that wasn't the point. Like, for once I wanted to not do bright, crazy colors and try realism, and now you're telling me, yeah, but like realism doesn't win competitions. Like, what the shit?
Yeah, you have to know.
I can think about like some. Go ahead.
I was like, you have to know the competition you're entering and know what you need to. Like that's like I was watching some Golden Demon stuff, like the way they prepped it. So they're like, they know what Golden Demon winners have done before, and they know what the formula is to win. So they have to repeat that in the best way possible.
Well, but I mean, there have definitely been some Golden Demons where, like, you see it's beautifully painted and realistic. Like, I remember, I guess it wasn't. I'm trying to think of what it was. Gundams, where like there was one I can remember. Like the Gundam is like bent over, hiding behind a wall. You see little tiny infantry people walking by.
Gundam entries are different than Golden Demon.
Yep.
I guess that's true.
Gunpla judges and like Gundam in general is drastically different with the way it's judged.
Mm-hmm.
And
right,
because of that, that is why like I think Gundam is the GBWC is the harder of the two competitions to win.
Gotcha.
But that's like a personal opinion. That's not like there's no fact behind that.
I'll see if I can find a picture of the Dracodile and I'll send it to you. But I think it looks sweet, but it was still just like, yeah, you know, you got bronze. I'm like, oh, okay. That's still good, but like...
I mean, that's still good.
Like, feel like I should have done better than that. I think it looks dope, but yeah, okay, sure, whatever, I guess. But, alright, I'm gonna cut it here.
Cool. I'll cut it here too.
All right,
then.
man.
Go get some lunch.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was a pleasure as always.
Not good night. Good
Thanks for
afternoon.
letting me
Enjoy
jump
your
on.
lunch. Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
Alex. We'll be streaming
Well, I was-
tomorrow on Blightbringers channel.
Yeah, we should.
Oh.
9:30 a.m. Let's go, boys.
9:30 a.m. The coffee morning stream. And then we'll catch.
I have a marriage retreat tomorrow morning. Sadly, not sadly. Like it's gonna be good.
Not sad.
We have a. That'll be the one part she hears of this thing. Oh, really? I'm like, oh shit. No, it's with the chaplains organization.
Yeah.
So it's like free childcare and stuff. So I'm like, oh,
Nice.
well then.
Well, thank you guys for watching, chat. Thanks for stopping in. Anyone who's still here, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate y'all, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, 9:30. See ya.
Later, bros.